You are listening to the continuation of the story. You can listen to the previous part via the link in the description below this video. Happy listening. I was alone in St. John's, Newfoundland, trying to clear my head and wash the anger out of my heart. The love of my life turned out to be a cheating woman. My family and friends betrayed me, and I left the business I had been developing for years. If it weren't for my 2 children at home, I don't know if I would ever go back. I was lost, wandering, and didn't want to go back and face a broken heart. Aunt Jean found my cousins, more precisely, second cousins, father's cousins and all their descendants. There were many of them. A quick meeting in the city center led to a visit to a pub on George Street, where we were joined by a few more relatives. By the end of the evening, I had made promises, and I was no longer completely alone. I visited their home and met the family. We talked about where we came from, about Dad and his brothers and sisters. We drank a lot in his honor, so many. From time to time, especially late in the evening, they performed traditional songs. At each meeting, everyone was encouraged to sing their signature song. Uncle Bill was eventually forced to read Big John. Cousin Danny impersonated Elvis. Aunt Mary performed Wagon Wheel beautifully. If you couldn't sing, you had to stand and recite. Uncle Johnny was reciting The Face on the Bar Floor. Of course, the inevitable, "Now it's your turn," passed to me. As I mentioned, I can play the guitar a little, and I jumped at the chance after drinking too much beer. I spent quite a bit of time on the road listening to music, and one theme kept recurring. I was almost embarrassed to start with a Taylor Swift song, but no matter what you think, this girl understands songwriting about lost love and betrayal better than almost anyone alive. Who would have thought? I know I messed up the chords, but I sang with feeling and received a good portion of applause. Soon it was my turn again, and the singing continued in a circle in the great hall. They handed me one of the guitars. Cousin Ronnie never left his. It seemed like he could play along with anyone. This time I started with a popular oldie but a goodie song by Alan Jackson. By this time I was even drunker, but I could still manage 3 chords. I guess there was no doubt where my mind was when I didn't give up the guitar and started Travis Tritt's classic hit. By 3 a.m. we had lost most of the crowd. I was still on a roll. I liked the atmosphere, the friendship, the family environment. I liked stories and drinking. What I loved most was the cathartic outpouring of my loss. I woke up on the floor next to an unfamiliar bed in an unfamiliar room in an unfamiliar house. It took me a few minutes to find the bathroom, but I eventually managed, washed my face, and found my way to the kitchen, where 4 of my distant relatives were gathered around the table. A woman I didn't recognize stood up and sat me down. She kissed me on the cheek, then stood up and took pancakes out of the oven for me. She laughed as she handed me the plate. "Only once, we saved it for you since you are a guest. In the future, as a member of the family, you will take care of yourself." At least that's what I thought. Her accent was so strong you could cut it with a knife. I nodded in gratitude, my head still buzzing, and gratefully accepted the mug of coffee and 3 aspirins. She also placed a tall glass of water in front of me. She sat on a stool at the kitchen island, watching the table as I began to eat. Surrounded by 3 strange women and 1 man I barely knew, I felt surprisingly comfortable. They were chatting about some local gossip when the woman on the stool stood up and refilled my mug with coffee. She ran her fingers through my hair like a mother. "Do you want to talk about it, honey?" I looked up at her and looked around the table. I looked embarrassed. Where am I, and who are you all?" They laughed together. "I'm Diana, and this is my home," suggested the lady who fed me. "Your father and my mother were cousins. The party ended here yesterday. You were almost unconscious after we left Barbara." I remembered that I visited 3 different houses, probably the last one on the tour. I looked around at the others and thought I recognized one of the women, an elderly one. "Lena?" She giggled and patted my hand. I got it right the first time. I blushed. I would say that I never forget the name of a beautiful woman, but I guess that would be a lie, I said, looking at Diana and then at the 3rd woman at the table. She laughed and raised her mug in toast. Peg, nice to meet you. I missed yesterday's festivities. Nobody told me there would be entertainment. I stood up to clear my plate, but Diana took it from me and made me sit back down. Do you remember Ronnie? I grinned. Our guitar hero. Of course, I don't know how I could forget his name. Beer does that to you, he said with a laugh. You were amazingly good at guitar, kid. A true Newfoundlander. It's time for you to come home. I was wrong. Diana didn't have the strongest accent. I could barely understand what Ronnie said. I grinned. Are you related? I nodded between Diana and Ronnie. My brother. You and he are two sides of the same coin, Diana explained. I looked puzzled and Ronnie stood up and came back with the guitar. He struck a couple of chords and started singing. I couldn't resist singing along to the Offspring song, and soon everyone joined in. When he finished, he looked at me and shrugged. You run, and I wait. Why? I asked, curious as to why he was putting up with this crap. Diana laughed. That's what we're all asking. He blushed. Damn it, I love her. It took a little time and a glass of beer for them to hear my sad story of lost love and betrayal. They were good listeners and better at asking pointed questions, drawing out details that I was trying to avoid. I even made them cry a couple of times. When I admitted that I had set the cars on fire, they practically started applauding. A true Newfoundlander, Diana laughed. Did you give them a good thrashing afterwards? I shook my head. Not yet. I still reserved the right. I think I landed one good hit on Fred the next time I saw him. But this is not enough. Is he your cousin, business partner, and best friend? He deserved it. You better not only kick his ass, but make it a regular thing, Peg said. That girl who was with you is real. Whatever that means. Judging by the disgusted way she said it, she was probably right. Hell, even the word itself sounded disgusting. During the story, I took a break to call the children. My heart broke when Mary refused to answer the phone. Beth screamed at her in the background until my daughter screamed that she hated me for leaving. It wasn't my best moment. I thanked Carol and said I would try again the next day. We moved to the veranda and were joined by several more guests as they arrived. There were many stories, and I was encouraged to tell my own, although talking about the problems in my marriage was temporarily prohibited. Diana seemed to take me under her wing, sitting next to me and pushing me when I began to touch on painful topics. No need, boy. Remember the happy times. Someone came with 4 of the worst pizzas I've ever had. I tried to pay and was reminded that I was a guest. To hell with this, I laughed, breaking away from Diana's arms and taking out my wallet. Someone told me I'm family and I'll damn well pay for myself. I didn't pay for the beer, so I'm going to pay for the pizza or find other drinking buddies. I took out a strange brown bill with the number 100 on it. Diana said that was too much, and I replied that, apparently, I was also paying for the beer. They didn't put up much of a fight after that. We talked, chatted, gossiped, and laughed. Eventually, Ronnie pulled out the guitars, and we had a little training session where I was taught the correct way to play Newfoundland songs. That's when I fell in love with their music. The Ryans and the Pittmans, also known as We'll Rage and Make Noise, is a song I've loved from the very beginning. I loved this song. The story, the melody, the heavy rhythm in the chorus. A fisherman's song and a story about growing up, loving girls, and settling down. A powerful, simple tune that a drunk with a strong voice can sing with real feeling. Relatives came and went, and I had to wonder if these people were always throwing parties. Of course, I later found out that I was the catalyst, not that they didn't like to throw a party or two in the kitchen, but a visiting cousin from America became the reason for this one. I was sitting on the couch across from cousin Ronnie. My fingers were hurting because I hadn't been allowed to put my little guitar down since we changed locations. This caused a lot of laughter that only a Yankee would think that what I had was an improvement on the design. I can pretend I'm playing like a professional, I guess. With a capo and dozens of chords in my repertoire, I have enough ear to play something resembling a melody to almost anything. A basic knowledge of music theory helps a lot. There are a few songs that I can play averagely, but the fake one works quite well in our environment. When I heard "Now It's Your Turn" addressed to me, I started one of my songs about cheating. The next time I felt beer and loss, I sang the greatest drinking song of all time, and perhaps the most heartbreaking, Johnny Cash. It suited my voice. I wasn't an Irish tenor, more of a baritone by nature, and I could handle the low notes quite well. By the beginning of the second verse, I noticed that the crowd had become quieter. The ugly stick stopped knocking and clinked quietly in the background. I played with a simple finger-picking pattern, using my thumb to select alternating bass strings. Ronnie picked up a simple bass line while I let out my pain. I managed to sing smoothly, with a few tears rolling down my face, my dreams of yesterday now becoming nightmares. I received no applause for this song, just a few teary eyes. Ronnie lifted the mood with a popular, happy song while I wiped away my tears. A sweet young girl was sitting next to me. She clung to me, crying. "Let go, Honor," she whispered. "There is more to life. Not everyone will hurt you." I realized I was sitting between two college-age girls. I don't even know how this happened. The girl on the other side put her hand on my shoulder, pressing herself close to me. "Sing us a beautiful song, Honor. I don't want to cry anymore." It was probably because of the beer. "I don't know any songs more beautiful than you," I told her. She gave me the biggest smile. "Fuck you. I'm not that pretty." Of course, and the sun is not so hot, the water is not so wet, and the girls from Newfoundland are not the most beautiful in the world. She laughed. "I see you have a lot of Newfoundland in you. Sing me a song, Honor." When the music returned to our side of the room, Jane asked me to perform her song. One came to mind. It was a Beth song that I started playing for her when I was just 13. I've played it hundreds of times, if not more, over the last 10 years or so. However, the picking was automatic, sort of Travis style, and I knew it was one of the few songs I could do well. It was a popular song, and everyone sang along loudly to the chorus. I looked at young Jane, reddish blonde hair, upturned nose, and large green eyes that looked into mine. I sang the chorus for her. The first time I sang it was not for my Beth. And you can tell everyone that this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's finished, I hope you don't mind, what I put into words. How wonderful life is when you are in this world. The sad thing was that every song broke my heart, even this popular children's classic. At the end, Diana leaned over my shoulder and kissed me on the cheek. "This is better. No more tears tonight, boy. Give us something else for the girls." Jane had a sweet little soprano voice, and I was surprised how well she could improvise harmony. For a couple of hours, I almost managed to forget. I enjoyed the attention, the joyful family atmosphere, the attention of beautiful young girls. "We've heard all his songs many times," Jane laughed. "And he doesn't play better than you, and he certainly doesn't sing better." It was nice to hear that, even if it was an exaggeration. He was much better. For a moment, I wondered why I had spent so many years of my life, working like crazy, day and night, only to be betrayed by everyone I did it for. To hell with them. I deserved better. I needed to be able to enjoy life. Adventures. With love. I caught Ronnie's eye, and he raised an eyebrow as he asked, "The cars?" He smiled and proved me right about the game. He started playing a powerful bass, and I picked up a sharp rhythm. It was probably a song he knew well. He was even able to play the solo after the chorus perfectly, and I toned down my playing while he showed off his skills. For the first time, I noticed that a thin girl was sitting at his feet, her head resting on his knee and her arm hugging his leg. She was holding her phone in her other hand, probably recording our performance. I have no idea when she appeared. I looked at him, then at her, raising an eyebrow. He nodded, giving me a sad smile. One of my uncles was persuaded to read a poem and stood up, his legs shaking slightly, his eyes more than a little red. He began a verse that I had never heard. but which I later learned was written by Robert W. Service. He was older than most, probably at least 70. He seemed to be repeating a few lines. Then I saw a man stand next to him and begin to recite with him. The old man's voice grew stronger, and he continued, speaking louder. The young guy sitting opposite them came and sat down. The family resemblance could be seen as the young man began repeating words in unison with his father and grandfather. "That's it, Uncle Luke," one of the women shouted. "Yes, boy," another encouraged. I saw him lose his verse, and his grandson spoke louder. The old man caught the rhythm and continued, and the young man fell silent. I hugged Jane and heard her whisper, "Isn't this wonderful?" It was something more. The patriarch of the family and his relatives gathered around. He reads a poem to which he probably devoted dozens of hours and repeated hundreds of times. His son and grandson speaking with him, words they must have learned from his lips at her knees. Phones were in hand, recording the event. I imagined the young man's grandchildren sitting at his feet, 40 years later, watching their great-grandfather perform. I was amazed by the family ties and respect shown. When he finished, he walked over and kissed the curvaceous, white-haired woman on the lips, and everyone laughed and screamed, teased, whistled, hooted. 53 years, Jane said quietly. They came for you. We came from Torbay. This is a big deal. This was probably true. He slowly walked over to the couch, and the girl on the other side jumped up and supported his arm as he turned and slowly sat down next to me. I turned to him, smiling. "Honor Nolan," I said, holding out my hand. His gnarled old hand, with its knobby knuckles, was as rough as tree bark. "Luke, I'm your father's uncle. He was a good guy. I'm sorry for your loss." I felt tears welling up in my eyes. "Thank you," I replied. Almost 20 years had passed, and it still hurt. It seemed it was time for a break. The noise of talking still continued, but the singing had stopped. I felt Jane stand up and walk to the back of the house, most likely to the toilet. "Are you staying long?" he asked. "Don't know. There are no clear plans yet." He nodded. "I'd like to invite you to Sunday dinner." I laughed. "To be honest, sir, I have no idea what day it is." "When is Sunday?" He grinned. "I wish I had enough days to not care which one is which. It's Friday night, boy. Do you think we would have such a big crowd on a weekday?" "I would be honored, sir." He smiled, and I could read the laughter in his eyes. "No, man. I dare say we would be honorable." Jane returned after a short absence and leaned towards Grandfather Luke. "So glad you came, Grandpa," she said, and kissed him on the cheek. He smiled. "Are you going to entertain us, Janie?" She blushed. I thought maybe a little. She came up to me and handed me a sheet of music. "Do you think you can play it?" she asked. "It's a very slow song, just a simple slow chord for every bar." I opened it and saw that it wasn't too difficult. No exotic chords. It was written in Gaelic, and I had no idea what it said. I tried a few bars, and she stopped me. "Slow down, let all the strings ring." I did it again, and she smiled. "Wonderful. Try the first line." She watched me play the chords, humming the melody quietly, then almost whispering the words. She slowed me down again, and I thought about how slow the song could be. Then she kissed me on the cheek. "This is perfect." When she stood up, she pulled my hand and made me stand up with her. The young man who was reading the poem with his grandfather was brought to sit and hold the sheet music in front of me. By that point, we had everyone's attention. She walked over to her grandmother and picked her up. Jane made her sit next to her grandfather, and she stood next to me. She nodded, and I played the first slow chord. I got goosebumps when the first notes left her lips. She had the most amazing, high, soft voice, and although I didn't understand what she was singing about, I swear it was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. She sang for her grandparents, and I saw the older woman holding Grandpa Luke's hand in hers. I felt the melody after a few verses and began to play with simple finger-picking, alternating with string chords, and the music took over, guiding my fingers in a way I had never felt before. I closed my eyes, letting her voice guide me, even playing a bridge with the melody when she paused in her singing. I knew this wasn't the end, it couldn't be. She shouldn't have stopped singing. I heard her sigh and muted the playing, letting her voice take over with minimal accompaniment. Her voice became stronger, and again I picked up the melody, playing harder as her voice soared. I felt goosebumps on my arms, and a shiver ran down my spine. Her voice slowed, and my fingers followed, adding chords, creating stability, rising toward what I felt was the end. Her voice intensified, powerful, filling the room. I just prayed that I could do her magical tones justice. She held the note for a long time, an eternity, and I played 3 descending chords, then stopped, in tune with the song, as she finished the last line a cappella. I heard screams and laughter and opened my eyes. I looked to the side, and she smiled a magical smile. Her eyes sparkled, and her hair seemed to glow. She reached out and touched my shoulder, and I felt a spark, almost an electric shock. It was magical, and I was a part of it. "Granny's song," she said, and I saw an elderly woman in front of me. She reached out her hand to hug me. I leaned over and let her kiss my cheek. "Thank you," she whispered, her face lighting up. She was beautiful in that moment, and I could see the pride on Grandpa Luke's face as he stood with his hand on her waist. 53 years old, and to be so loved and adored. It was too much. Realize that I will never have something like this. What have I lost? What her betrayal cost us? I couldn't breathe, couldn't see because of the tears in my eyes. "Sorry," I muttered, letting the guitar fall to the floor as I ran away, escaping the suddenly claustrophobic room. I was almost running when I got to the door. I ran about 20 meters along the road until I tripped, not seeing where I was going. I fell to my knees, gasping for breath, my chest constricting with despair. I leaned over and let my tears fall. I almost came to my senses when I felt a hand on my shoulders. I looked back and saw Jane's worried face. She didn't try to calm me down or silence me. She just held me, let me cry, was there when I needed it. "Sorry," I finally breathed. She didn't answer. She just hugged me tighter and put her head on my shoulder. I wiped my eyes, trying to fake a smile. "You were great," I said quietly. "The most beautiful thing I've ever heard." She was still silent. She turned to face me, sat on my legs, and hugged me, her arms strong and comforting. I felt her hair on my face. My arms wrapped around her, and I held on to her like a lifeline as my emotions came flooding back, and I burst into tears in her arms. When I calmed down, I couldn't remember when I had been more embarrassed in my life. I don't think I've cried since my father died, and now it's become a regular thing. 3rd time in recent weeks. She must have sensed my condition and hugged me tighter before pulling away. "You are not a liar. You've played this song before. It was perfect." I shook my head. "Never. I've never heard anything like it. All I could do was follow your voice." She looked surprised. "You closed your eyes for most of the song. You didn't even look at the notes." "There was no need. I knew what you were going to do. Knew it without knowing how." She smiled. "Do you know what I'm going to do now?" I chuckled as I looked at her lips. "I hope so." I closed my eyes, and she kissed me. She stood up slowly, backing away, her hands holding mine, urging me to stand. "Jesus, Honor, my legs hurt just from watching you kneel in the gravel." I wish she had mentioned that. Now I felt the stones piercing my legs. My legs were almost numb, half-lost sensation, tingling. I stood up carefully, shaking them off. She let go of one of my hands and pulled me along with her. I followed her, content, feeling her warm hand in mine as she led me back to the house. "Where are we going?" I asked on the porch step. She squeezed my hand. "You're a Newfoundlander, Honor. You have to ask, where do we end up? Not where are we going?" She said the latter with a mocking accent. I laughed, imitating her bad accent. "So where do we end up, kid?" "You're going to apologize to Grandma. She thinks she hurt you." All she said was thank you, I said. "It's not about her." "Of course not. Now tell her this, then you and I will go for a walk. I need to hear your story." I felt my ears light up. I wasn't sure I wanted to talk about my recent past, but there was no choice left since I found myself in front of grandmother. Sorry I ran out like that. It's not about you. I'm going through a difficult time right now. I hope you will forgive me. She smiled and her face lit up. After such a performance, I'm ready to forgive you almost everything. Thank you again. She had an Irish accent that half a century on the island could not eclipse. I liked his tone. Please, I was thrilled to be a part of it. Are you a professional musician? She asked. I laughed. Not at all. I'm not even very good. Something greater than myself was guiding my fingers during this song. I couldn't do that again in a million years, even if I trained every day. Why do I doubt this? I bet you could do the same thing tonight if Jane were singing with you again. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. I blushed. I will not accept this challenge. Jane pulled my hand. Sorry, Grandma, I'm taking it back. We need to talk. Grandma smiled. This is just talk for now. Try to have as few significant pauses as possible. It's clear? Now it was Jane's turn to blush. I swear, Grandma, just talk. Outside, she turned and suddenly kissed me, and then grabbed my hand and pulled me down the road. Tell me everything. I want to hear everything, she said, walking next to me, lightly touching my forearm with her shoulder. I think you've heard most of it already. She nodded. Yes, in 6 different versions. I want to hear everything, from the very beginning. I sighed, trying to understand where this beginning was. I started with the night Beth and I spent before going to China. She interrupted. No, Honor. From the very beginning. When you met, how you got along, everything. I laughed. It's a very long story. We should probably stay on the veranda or something. If we keep going, we'll reach Gander before I'm done. I'm not wearing the right shoes to hike. She giggled. Okay, I know the right place. I started. Oh, Honor, she whispered softly. Did they say why? It seems impossible. They had a lot of excuses. I started to get angry and my leg began to shake. I squeezed the armrest of the swing so hard that my arm hurt. Damn traitors, every single one of them. Not a word, not a single damn word. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want anything to do with them anymore. This doesn't make sense, Honor. You must understand this. There's clearly something wrong with this story. There must be something more. Maybe. If so, no one bothered to tell me, but I asked. Only one person in the whole city came up to me and apologized like a man. One person. I gave her everything and then left. I was afraid that if I stayed, I would do something rash. Maybe I'll even kill someone, or several people. So you ended up here? No. I was away for about 6 weeks, traveling alone until I felt like I had a handle on it. I came back mainly for the sake of the children. I wanted to sit down with Beth and try to understand why she did this to me. When I came to talk to her, she was sitting on the same damn couch I found her on, and I lost my temper. I sat on that damn sofa as if nothing had happened. All I could imagine was her happily cheating on me with my partner that day. I ran out of the house and became physically ill. I couldn't, so I got back on my Harley and headed over here. I think it took me almost 3 weeks, and now I'm here. Is she alone? No. Her mother is with her. You still love her, Jane said. It was a simple statement, not a question. I love her. I will probably love her forever. Since I was 9 years old, I hate her. For what she did to us, to me. I will never live 53 years married to the woman I love. Not anymore. She destroyed my past and my future because she couldn't be faithful. I hate her more than I can imagine. She stood up and sat on my lap. Hold me, Honor. I hugged her and felt her body trembling. She was crying. My life was ruined, and she cried. What happened, Jane? She sobbed. Do you believe in fate? Don't know. I thought I believed it. She kissed me. And I believe, when I saw you tonight, When you sang that stupid song to me. At that moment I absolutely knew, that God had brought you to me. I couldn't do anything in my life, and then you showed up. Beautiful, alive, suffering. All this pain. I knew I was here to heal your pain. And then you played while I sang. This has never happened before. It couldn't be. We were perfect. I knew we were connected. Fate. We are meant for each other. She sighed. Now I know the truth. You'll be back. You will return to her, and you still love her. She cheated on your marriage, and the whole town turned against you. Your family betrayed you, your own mother. But it doesn't matter. You'll be back. You will fix everything for everyone. You give them another chance. She looked at me, eyes full of tears, before I could deny or explain anything. They all get a second chance, but you and I won't even have a first. We would be the perfect couple. Maybe even better than Beth, but we'll never know. She got you first. 4-year-old, and she stole your heart. We never stood a chance. I'm sorry, Honor. I tried to hug her, but she slipped out of my arms as she stood up. I will not take a man from another woman. I'm not like her. If you ever really make the right choice, find me. I won't wait for you. I think it could take a lifetime. But I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. She took my hand and pulled me until I stood up. I need to go home, Honor. I want to have a good cry. See you, okay? Let me know when you are ready to leave. I walked her to the car, and she gave me one last kiss on the cheek. Are you sure you can go? I asked. As sober as a church mouse, she said. She grinned. Still trying to do the right thing, aren't you? I'll be fine. I'm not sure I'll be okay. I returned to the house and tried to act friendly while sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee. I refused to join the last remaining ones in the living room. Diana came and sat with me. Hard evening, she asked. Pretty heavy, I admitted. Thought you and Jane looked good together for a while. Perhaps she was looking for a reason to gossip. She's beautiful. Any man would be lucky to be with her. Unfortunately, I'm married, I have 2 children, and a whole damn city that depends on me. I looked at my watch. It was 4 a.m. Do your parties ever end? She laughed. Usually before this time. Most weekends there is something going on in the family. Your presence made this my duty. Sorry. Don't apologize. It was a great event. You were a star. It's a shame it took 30 years to get home. You belong here. I chuckled. It's a pity. I'll have to come back someday, as soon as I can do it without going crazy. Take your time. Stay as long as you want. Someone will shelter you until you get settled. Just a few more days. I smiled. I promised Uncle Luke and Grandma that I would join them for dinner. I keep my promises. I have no doubt about it. Let me make you a promise. My door is always open, and there is always a place at the table. Never forget this. I also keep my promises. I finished my coffee and said goodbye. I was sober too. I shouldn't have been like this, but love, hate, pain, and disappointment burned all the alcohol out of my system. Or maybe I just haven't drunk enough in the last 4 or 5 hours to remain tipsy. I got on the motorcycle and headed back to the hotel. I had nightmares. I thought I would spend the next day in peace, but my new extended family had other plans. After another unsuccessful attempt to Skype my daughter, I was persuaded to go on a whale and bird watching excursion to Whittles Bay. My companions were Ronnie and Jeff, Jane's first cousin, the same young man who had recited the shooting of Dan McGrew with his grandfather the night before. The trip was exciting, and we spotted many whales, several of which the guide identified by their tail markings. The excursion boat headed to Gull Island, a fairly large rocky area about half a mile long that was literally covered in birds. I'm told this is the largest colony of Atlantic puffins in the world. There really were a lot of them, loud and smelly. I took a bunch of photos, dozens of them. On the way to the harbor and back, we had time to talk. I asked them about jobs, but it turned out that, like about 20% of youth under 25, they were unemployed, recent graduates of the University of Newfoundland. As we disembarked the boat, I was informed that whether I liked it or not, I would be going on a bar crawl around St. John's that evening. I couldn't resist asking if Jane would be there. Not a chance, Jeff told me. Be that as it may, she will tease, but not satisfy. Trust us, you won't be lonely tonight. I'm married, I reminded him. We're not going to marry you, boy, Ronnie intervened. A little soft and pliable company, that's all. I was persuaded to go with several young men. Not a single female relative, but we weren't alone for long. The guys seemed to have a gift for conversation, and I looked interesting to everyone. By the third bar, before it got dark, I didn't regret going with my new best friends so much. I stood with one or two pliable young ladies, leaning closer and talking as if nothing had happened. As we walked toward yet another crowded bar, Ronnie pulled me aside with his arm around my shoulders. His head pressed against mine, and I nearly jumped out of my pants when he kissed me. I love you, it's true. You are family, but you are a real crybaby. Nobody wants to listen to your suffering. Show off some Yankee charm before I slap you in the face. I tried to listen to his words as best I could understand and spoke no more about my family life. I told stories about my travels, my work, and, of course, what I thought about Newfoundland. The girls lingered longer, laughed with me, slipped under my arm at the first opportunity. They were incredibly friendly. Our company was growing, and I didn't mind buying every other round. Hell, it was just money. I received more than a couple of kisses for my generosity. That's fair, isn't it? Ronnie adjusted to me, monitoring my alcohol consumption discreetly, stealing drinks from me if I seemed too drunk. I caught him doing this a few times, and he laughed. I don't want you to pass out. We're just getting started, man. I was in a good mood and felt no pain. My Newfie accent was improving. I swear I understood better than 90% of what I heard. We reached a side street where the crowd began to thin out. We went into a half-empty bar, where, as it turned out, my friends knew everyone. I learned that we had reached our final destination for the evening. I realized that the young girl with whom I had gone to the last two bars had been next to me all that evening, and her thank-you kisses were getting longer and longer. I walked up to the bar and started looking for my wallet. Jeff stood next to me. I'll pay. You've already spent enough. We argued, and it almost turned into a fight. Ronnie and my other cousin, Neil, intervened. They warned me that I had already spent over $400. I'll be penniless and get scolded. In my perfect drunken state of logic, I explained that if I spent $4 million, I still wouldn't be penniless. Even if I spent it, I would pay it back before any of them got a job. I was sitting on a gold mine. I managed to reach my wallet and pull out my platinum card. The limit is $25,000. Buy everyone a drink and start a tab for my family and friends. Jeff was still arguing. No way. If my mother finds out, there will be nothing left of me to pray over. And this is in the best case if Grandma doesn't find out. My fog cleared a little to see that they actually meant well for me. I love you guys, but I have more money than God, I told them in my best Newfie. Seriously, I never spend a dime on myself. It's time to spend a little money. A familiar voice came from behind me, and I heard Jeff mutter, "Oh, crap. Let him. It's just one night. Let him let off some steam." This was my Jane. I smiled at her, holding out my hand. "Come here, honey. I love you. I really do." She looked at me and threw an expressive glance at the young woman, who stuck to me like a shell. "Jane, meet Shannon. She was kind enough to keep me company." She turned to her cousin, her face turning red. "Jeffrey, you're a real bastard." He shrugged. "It's okay. Just letting off steam." She turned away and sat down on a stool at the end of the bar. Damn, she looked angry. I achieved my goal, partially. They wouldn't let me use the card, but I convinced them to let me spend my cash. I'm sure they were surprised when I undid my belt, unzipped the back, and pulled out $1,000, my emergency money. This money, along with a few hundred in my wallet, ensured we had a good party for the rest of the evening. Cousins made sure it was clear to everyone who was ordering from my tab. Now there were about 8 guys and even more girls, most of whom were distant relatives. Ronnie pulled me away from my new, pliable friend, but not before I received another thank you kiss. He dragged me to a small stage in the corner. He thrust a guitar into my hands, and even in my hazy state, when he insisted that I show that I was a true noof, I joined him and played a few songs that he had taught me. They handed me a microphone, and I enthusiastically performed the Ryans and the Pittmans. There were enough people singing along with me to help me remember the words correctly for most of the verses. We played a couple more favorite songs, and I started playing better. One more song before Ronnie gave me the push. Now it's your turn, Honor. Show me what you can do, just without this pathetic crap. Like many aspiring guitarists, when I was young, I wanted to learn some power ballads. Stairway to Heaven, Dust in the Wind, More Than Words. Without much thought, I raised my fingers high up the fretboard and began playing the recognizable intro to the song I nearly killed myself trying to learn. Halfway through the intro, the endless hours of muscle memory took over and everything became automatic. I may not have had the voice of John Bon Jovi, but I wasn't afraid to give it my all. By the time I got to the chorus, most of the bar was singing along with me. It was strange how, after almost 10 years, my fingers could easily pick up the intricacies of playing in front of eager crowds. At the end, the whistles and applause made me smile. I did it, in the good sense of the word. I slowed down, playing something simple and familiar to everyone. Not my favorite Green Day song, but one that I could play in my sleep, and it's quite fitting. A few voices joined me, but only a few until I got to the iconic verse. This is something unpredictable, but in the end, everything will be right. Hope you had a great time. I looked at the crowd. They looked at me and sang together. Had a great time. They raised beer in my honor. Ronnie smiled, played along with me. Life should be like this, and not dedicated work for 12-14 hours a day. Why have I never done something like this since college? I used to love playing the guitar, but then I put it aside for almost 10 years, devoting my life to my work and my wife. Now this is no longer a problem. I didn't have to go into these thoughts because without thinking, I ended the slow plucking of the strings and moved on to the song I had played many evenings while hiking the Appalachian Trail, a stupidly simple power ballad. The bar went silent as I poured my heart out on stage. A couple of dozen voices supported me in the chorus. I managed to get through the second verse and another chorus, but Beth was on my mind. What she did. My perfect rose with that deadly thorn. The bridge killed me. My voice began to tremble. I felt tears begin to well up and knew I couldn't continue. I tried my best to move on. Although it's already. Jane stood next to me, her hand on mine, leaning against the microphone, her beautiful voice ethereal, mesmerizing. I can still feel so much pain. Like a knife that cuts you, the wound heals, but this scar remains. She turned to face me, her eyes filled with tears as she sang the last verse alone. I could barely play, her words pierced right through me. Now I see that you have found someone new, and I've never meant so much to you. It's tearing me apart inside, and looking at it is like cutting with a knife. The crowd picked up the chorus and the last verse, and she looked at me with red eyes filled with tears. She returned to her corner and turned towards the bar. I put down the guitar. The shouts and applause irritated me. My mystery girl ran up to me, but I stopped her. Sorry, I can't do this. She froze, looking up at me. She smiled sadly. I'm sorry too, Honor. Thank you for a wonderful evening. She walked past my hand and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. I approached the corner. Jane. Go away, Honor. Please. Sorry, I told her, leaning against the bar. We were just having a good time, nothing more. She turned her head, her eyes were red and burning. Is that what your wife told you when she cut out your heart, Honor? It was nothing, just having a good time. Her words achieved their goal. My world came crashing down on me. All the pain in full, as if I was seeing her again, for the first time, making love to him. I backed away from her verbal blow, tripping over a stool, blinded by the world, falling. I was lying on the floor, surrounded by bodies. Jane looked into my face, shaking me. Honor, 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 an echo of me leaving Beth for the last time, the love of my life screaming at me as I left. I pushed away from her in disgust and saw the fear in her eyes as she looked into my face. She hugged me, crying. Sorry, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. A few moments passed before everything settled down, where I was, what I was doing. God, I was just as cruel as she was. Sorry, Jane. I'm an ass. She let me go. Are you okay? Did you hit your head? I touched the place where my head hurt. I don't feel well, honey, I muttered. I didn't hear her answer, if there was one. I woke up in an unfamiliar bed, disoriented, with a dry mouth, a pounding headache, and pain both behind my eyes and in the back of my head. I felt claustrophobic, as if trapped in a cage. Gradually, I realized that bare arms were holding me and a warm body was pressing against me. I almost called her name Beth when I heard a small voice. Quiet, Honor. Everything is fine. Relax. I'll get you some water and aspirin. The hands let go of me, and I felt lost, abandoned. I rolled over onto my back and turned my head, watching her walk away. She was wearing a simple cotton nightgown. It reached almost to her feet, hiding her figure. Pale green with small flowers. She was barefoot. I looked down and realized I was only wearing boxers. I pulled the sheet up to my waist. She came back and handed me some pills and a glass of water. Everything to the end, now. Drink. My head is pounding, I muttered. No wonder. Trying to drink all of St. John's by yourself. I'll kill these guys. Fragments of memories began to return to me. Images, words. Her look at me. Some girl whose name I didn't even know. I don't know what to say. She lay back down. Don't say anything, okay? She put her hand on my chest. Her head lay on my shoulder. She pressed herself against me. Relax. Get some rest. I hugged her and felt her sigh. Oh my God, I moaned. I have never been so drunk in my life. How bad was I? You mean before or after you tore my clothes off and tried to have sex with me? She asked, her voice trembling. No, please tell me I didn't do this. I couldn't. Not with you. I pulled my hand back, trying to move away from her. She grabbed my hand and put it back on her shoulder, pressing herself against me. Of course I didn't. Hell, you couldn't even walk. It took 2 grown men to get you into my bed. It's quite pathetic when you think about it. God, Jane, don't scare me like that. She slapped my chest. At least you finally said my name correctly. Half the night you called me Beth. Bastard. I sat back, depressed. Damn, I muttered. She squeezed me. Everything is fine. She kissed my shoulder softly, then giggled. You're a legend now, you know. New from the far edge. Millionaire, rock star, tragic love story, bad boy, heartthrob. Honor Noof. I think they got the tragic part right. I'm completely lost, Jane. I don't know what I'm doing or why. I'm losing control. It's not me. I have always been calm and collected. Serious. Life was clear. Maybe you need this. Let another part of you come out. Find a way to find life between these 2 extremes. You're too young and too handsome to be a bore. I chuckled. Nobody calls me handsome, Jane, even my mother. They are fools. You are a man among boys. Big, strong, with broad shoulders. You look like a lumberjack, not a businessman. She pulled my beard. Maybe we should get rid of this. I wonder what is hidden behind it. Ugly face. She giggled. I doubt it. She was silent for a moment. Are you really a millionaire, or is this just talk? You said that you gave your wife your business. You didn't lie to me, did you? No, never. I took some money out of the business before I left. Less than 20% cash reserves. I just sold a patent for a couple million. I had small investments abroad. I helped myself with them, not much really. Yes, I have several million. It's just money. They mean little in the grand scheme of life. What is this gold mine you are sitting on? She asked, teasing me. God, I was talking like a drunken fool last night, wasn't I? She nodded, trying to impress. Hell no, I just wanted to spend my money. They didn't let me. Damn, I earned them. This is my money. It's time to spend a little money. Gold mine? She asked again, trying to keep me on topic. I sighed. I sold the patent because I have a better one. If the old one cost a couple of million, then this one costs much more. I was going to use it in my business until I got slapped. They didn't deserve this. I gave them the business, but without patents they will have a hard time. Are you going to leave them to their fate, punish everyone? Her meticulousness began to irritate me. Why not? They betrayed me, every one of them. It was my fault for working too hard, they said. Spent all my time on the business I loved. I felt my blood pressure begin to rise. I never liked this business. I did it because I had to. For their sake, I gave my life to this city and my family, and they punished me for it. Screw them. She sighed, pulling me to the side and hugging me until I calmed down. When my breathing returned, she kissed me softly. Damn, that was a nice kiss. I don't believe you, Honor. I looked at her. Are you saying I'm lying? I'm not lying. I'm not lying. She kissed me again, a little longer. No, you're lying to yourself. You won't let them drown. You will save them. You will save her. I know this. Why should I? I growled. I'm not saying you should. I say you will do it. I don't know how and I don't understand why, but you will do it. Soon, I think. I didn't want to admit it, but she was probably right. They betrayed me, Jane. Every single one of them. My wife, my mother, my family, my employees. All of them. Every damn one of them. I know. I'm sorry. You're too good for them. They don't deserve you, and yet you'll do it anyway. It's in your nature. I hate them, I said quietly. You hate what they did. Why? Why didn't at least one person take my side? Don't I deserve it? I gave them my whole life. She rolled over onto her back, and I followed her, leaning over her, looking into her beautiful face, her eyes wet. I don't know, Honor. I can't understand it either. I kissed her. After a while, she pushed me away. No, I would like you to be free, but you are still connected to her, to them. Not like that. You're right, Jane. I haven't let go yet. I don't know how. I'm trying. Come back. Figure it out. If you find yourself free one day, think of me, Honor, please. I will think about you all the time. There is something about you, I don't know what, but it calls to me. It screams in my soul. I know that sound. This is a faint echo of mine. She pulled away from me. I thought I would let you sleep, but now it's clear that you're already awake. I think we should both get dressed and take you back to the hotel. I'd let you buy me breakfast, but for a rich guy, you're broke. There's not a penny in your wallet. Why don't you get yourself together, and then, if you don't mind, we'll come back to me. I can clean myself up, and then I'll buy you the biggest breakfast you can imagine. She laughed. No, you won't buy it. We're having Sunday dinner at Grandma's today. She'll kill me if you arrive without an appetite. A light brunch is just right. I sat back and rested while she cleaned herself up. A little over an hour later, I was almost human again, sitting at a table on the sidewalk, enjoying the sunshine and an English breakfast. Jane looked at me. Who are you, Honor? A man who can open his heart to a stranger, a lost boy, a carefree drifter, a broken soul, a bar singer, a mysterious Yankee? Who are you now? I wish I knew. Right now, I'm just a lonely guy enjoying the company of a kind, beautiful woman under a beautiful sky. How much time do I still have? When are you leaving? She asked nervously. Don't know. No plans yet. I know that someday I will have to return. This issue needs to be closed. I'm afraid. Are you afraid? You? Why? I shrugged. Don't know. I guess I'm afraid they'll drag me into this again, crush my soul, push me back into the rut for everyone else's sake. They always say I'll do the right thing. I always do it. It's a curse. I'm afraid to understand what's really right. I'll tell you what's right, Honor. Take care of yourself, at least once, before it's too late. I'm trying, Jane. No, you're not trying. You are drowning in your misery. Let them go. Forget about it for a while. Easy to say. My whole life, it was all Beth. She shook her head. Everyone has had their heart broken at some point, Honor. The fact that you lasted more than 30 years is a miracle. Hurts. Then it hurts a little less. After all, it's a painful memory that you try not to remember. I looked at her in surprise, and she stopped. What? Where did your Newfie accent go? She blushed. I thought you liked Newfie girls, boy. I just raised my eyebrows, waiting. She laughed. God, you're adorable. Okay, so most young people adapt to their interlocutor. With your parents, and at the port, when the accent becomes more pronounced, you sort of adjust to blend in with the crowd. When I talk to you, I seem to follow your manner. All? Oh, hell no. Ronnie, Diana, and that whole gang couldn't speak without an accent, even if they wanted to. I could lie if I wanted to. Is it true? I looked into her eyes. What if I told you I think you're ugly? She frowned, her eyes widening in surprise. Crap. Damn, that's not what I meant. You are beautiful, amazing. You are breathtaking. You can't get any further from ugliness. Sorry. She laughed. You can't lie, Honor. 5 seconds after the words leave your lips, you're already trying to take them back. She squeezed my hand. It's not that bad, you know. On the other hand, she continued, I'm not sure I like someone who can say it so coldly. You're trying to hurt me. She looked sad and disappointed. I was shocked. Was my little joke really that bad? I apologized, Jane. That's not what I meant. I think subconsciously you did it. It was cruel. Jane, I didn't mean to, I swear. She winked at me. This is how to lie. Serious face, no pity. Sell it. I was speechless, my lips moved, but nothing came out. She giggled. I'm kidding, Honor. Jesus, boy, that was cruel, I told her. Don't you deserve it? Or do I need to remind you of last night, lover? I blushed. Game, set, and match, Jane. She stood up, smiling. Take me for a ride on your motorcycle, Honor. We have a couple of hours before we have to be at Grandma's. Let's go to Cape Spear. Cape Spear, the easternmost point of North America. Unless you're counting Greenland now, it's beautiful there. I should try to talk to the kids before we go. I told them I would call at this time every day I could. We'll do that. Time doesn't wait. I was wasting my time. My daughter Marie was still in the Cold War. Carol asked me to be patient. Got time to quickly say hello to Beth? She asked pleadingly. Not today, Carol. Sorry, maybe tomorrow. I think this was the first time I told her no when she asked. She looked a little surprised. Fine, it would really help her, you know. She's been depressed since the last time you spoke. Not today. She nodded sadly. You do what you have to do, Honor. I understand. Please don't give in to them. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for trying with Marie. She nodded. I said goodbye and hung up. Jane didn't bother me about the call, and we drove her car a couple of miles to a motorcycle store so I could buy her a helmet. Canada didn't have as much freedom in choosing helmets as some states, and I only had one. After that, we reached the final point in 20 minutes. I stood looking across the vast sea, high above the water, in the shadow of the old lighthouse. Damn, it was a beautiful place, and I couldn't help but think how lucky I was to have Jane there with me to share this moment. We walked holding hands while she told me a little history. I was sad when she said it was time to go see her grandparents. I loved it when she was on the motorcycle, her body pressed against mine, her arms wrapped around my waist. I felt proud and didn't think much about Beth during the trip. She made me make a detour to Quidi Vidi, where, as I was told, regattas were held every year. I only missed them for a couple of weeks. She already tried to make me promise to come to the next one. It's part of who we are, honor, here at Argentia. You need to see it, feel it, live it. This is your story. We stood by the lake, looking at the calm water. I would like it, but there are no obligations. I do not take them lightly because I refuse to break them. I admit I would love to learn more about this with a nice guide like you. She laughed. I'm sure you won't have any problems finding someone to be there for you. We had one more surprise destination before we headed out for Sunday dinner. Jane took me to her family's backyard, not far from her grandparents' house. I drove along the dirt road until I reached a clearing. We look for red berries that grow low to the ground. It's the perfect time of year for pardaberries, and Grandma will love you. We assembled a whole bag in less than 20 minutes. I tried a few, a little sour for my taste, but still delicious. 10 minutes later, we pulled up to her family's house, a boxy, two-story building with red siding and white trim, with some strange one-story addition on the side. He seemed to be at least 100 years old. There were several cars parked on the grass and in the driveway. It was clear that we were not the only ones coming for dinner. Hugs and kisses greeted our entrance, and then I was immediately led away from the kitchen, where the aromas of cooking were a real test for the senses. The smell of cabbage dominated, although the fried chicken tried to keep up. The men were gathered on the lawn, sitting haphazardly on different chairs, none of which looked like the other. Uncle Luke kept his word, and I was seated in a rough-hewn iron-deck chair that had seen better days. Uncle Luke sat on his brother, only his chair was a rocking chair. Jane's cousin Jeff, my guide from the previous night, thrust a beer with India on the label into my hand. "Take that India man," he said with a laugh. We chatted, and I became the target of ridicule for my performance the night before. "You're out of practice, Honor," said one of the men, whose name I couldn't remember. "A couple of dozen beers, and you were already on your back." "I'm very out of practice," I admitted. "I probably haven't had more than 3 beers in one night in 10 years. "You don't have any bars there?" Jeff asked. "There's simply not enough time for this, I'm afraid. I'm a bit of a workaholic, and the rest of my time is taken up by my family. Sometimes at a wedding or a big party I might have a few, but no more than half a dozen times a year." "You don't drink when you play?" asked the other cousin. "Daryl," I found out his name. "I don't play in public anymore. To be honest, I haven't really picked up a guitar since college." Uncle Luke intervened. "Shame, that is. It's time for you to come home, boy. A man needs his own outlets. Working a day job isn't good for the soul, man." I raised the beer to him. "I won't argue. I haven't felt this alive in years." Jeff laughed. "You didn't look very alive when we carried you up the stairs last night. Was dead to the world. I'll keep an eye on you." It was funny to hear this 22-year-old guy take it upon himself to keep me on my feet and sober. The smells in the kitchen were delicious. "What's for dinner?" I asked. Uncle Luke looked at me like I had 3 heads. "Sunday dinner. I'm sure I told you." Daryl, or maybe his brother Darren, intervened. I'm not sure which one. Both guys were in their 40s and looked too similar to tell them apart. "Jinx dinner every Sunday." I was still confused, and they laughed at me. "Damn, boy, there's a lot of work to be done to make you a real newfie. Boiled dinner, salted meat, turnips, potatoes, carrots, fig pudding, pea puree. Surely you tried it." "I can't say I tried," I admitted. "What the hell is wrong with my sister?" Uncle Luke asked angrily. "You didn't have family dinners on Sundays?" I grew up away from the rest of my family, lived in Pittsburgh. There was no opportunity for family dinner until I was 15. Grandmother died 2 years after I returned. She didn't cook anymore then. Uncle Luke didn't look happy. No sense of family. Her children didn't take the initiative. Different traditions, I think. Family barbecues every now and then, Christmas, Thanksgiving and Easter dinners. I tried to protect them. Family is still important. Hell, 42 people who worked for me were my direct relatives. Aunts, uncles, first and second degree cousins. And that doesn't include the companies I've hired for services like cleaning and maintenance. It's all family. 42, Uncle Luke asked. What kind of business did you have to keep so many people employed? Grocery, maybe? I explained the essence of my business. Daryl, I recognized him now by the hat he was wearing, spat on the ground. They don't have courage. No one pulled this bastard aside and gave him a beating. What kind of family is this, son? I shook my head sadly. I asked myself the same question, Daryl. Same damn question. None of the bastards took my side. I carried this whole damn city on myself, but what's the point? Daryl put another beer in my hand. Well, to hell with them, with all of them. Let the business fail and the whole miserable, stinking bunch end up on the dole. There is no respect for the marriage or the person who puts food on their table. Let them rot. Their family, Daryl, Uncle Luke said softly. Maybe not the best family, but still a family. He turned to me. I don't think they had any reason to disrespect you, Honor. Were you not cruel to them? I shrugged. Don't think. I may not have been the easiest boss, did not tolerate illegal substances at work or cheating in the office. No cheating with working hours. I had my own rules, and I expected them to be followed. My sister says I was too hard on them. That's why none of them loved me. It was difficult for me to admit the latter. This is nonsense, Daryl said sharply. They wouldn't respect you if you were too soft on them. Your job was to make sure the business was running properly. They should have understood this. Sometimes you have to be a tough person to be a good boss. I shrugged. Don't know. I tried. That's all I could do. Whatever it was, I don't think it was enough. What did you do in your business? Uncle Luke asked. I explained the concept of Honor energy-efficient central controllers for high-end homes. It was nice to see that they mostly understood what I was talking about. This sparked a lively discussion about the different needs in different regions and how we dealt with this. Links to government grants and local energy subsidies and tax credits. How they were used differently in different provinces of Canada. We were still discussing the details when we were called to dinner. Uncle Luke beamed. I bet you've never eaten anything like this where you're from. It's a pity that I missed this. A bit like the boiled dinner you'd find at a diner, with more ingredients and salted meat instead of corned beef. Daryl's wife, Anne, intervened. A lot of people here these days prefer corned beef. Jinx is made with a little cabbage, potatoes, and carrots. A real shame, barely a shadow of the real dish. I learned a little more about relatives, who is related to whom, where they live, where they work. Most of them were my father's cousins, first cousins, and second cousins. It was too complicated to understand everything. After dinner, we went back outside. Jane sat down in the chair next to me, opposite Uncle Luke. Honestly, what do you think about dinner? She asked quietly, leaning towards the armrest of my chair. Tasty. Some things seemed strange to me, but I liked it. I liked the company better. Comfort food, she said. Like fish and chips, seal pie. You'll get used to it. You'll love it over time. Her voice became lower. Did they ask you about last night? About the fact that I drank like that? About where you slept, she muttered, blushing. Not a word. She smiled. You're lucky. She took a long sip of her beer, and I noticed that she was already a little drunk. I wonder if she was really interrogated too much. I was a little surprised when the neighbors arrived, dragging their chairs with them. They were quickly introduced to me, and our group grew to more than 20 people, not counting the kids who seemed to be running around in the backyard. I was less surprised when they pulled out a couple of guitars, an old ukulele, and a button accordion. One of the guitars was thrust into my hands. Time for the runner and the waiter show, Jeff laughed. The title confused me for a minute until he nodded towards me, runner, and then at Ronnie, waiter. I'm sure my face was as red as Ronnie's. We sang some Newfoundland songs and more popular songs. I tried not to overdo it, not performing songs about cheating for the first time. The mood was too good to go this route. When it was my turn to sing, Jane asked me to sing her song. Your song, which until a few days ago had always been Beth's song. I got a little poke in the side when I hit the power chords and started singing. Jane has a gun. Jane has a gun. I made the audience laugh before starting the song they wanted. When I finished, she sang an Irish song in honor of her grandmother, I believe. It wasn't another Gaelic song, but Four Green Fields, a sad song I'd heard before. On the second round, I was persuaded to play Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive again. I think it was a hit at the bar last night. Jane acted strangely and refused to sing, shaking her head resolutely until she was left alone. It's a pity. She had the best voice out of everyone present, and it was obvious. Instead, she seemed in the mood for a couple more beers. I was worried about how it would affect her since she only weighed about 50 kilos when completely wet. Everyone seemed to be having a good time, although I noticed more than a few worried glances directed at Jane. The next time it was my turn, I tried to cheer her up. I turned to her. It's late evening. She's thinking about what to wear. She is applying makeup and combing her long blonde hair. And then she asks me, "Do I look okay?" And I say, "Yeah, you look great tonight." I realized I may have overdone it when I sang the end of the chorus. And the miracle is, what you just don't realize, how much I love you. Her eyes filled with tears, and I felt shame for a moment. It was as if I was leading her by the nose. Luckily, the song was popular, and I wasn't the only one singing it. She stood up with a determined look on her face. She approached Ronnie hesitantly. She whispered something in his ear, but he shook his head. I almost laughed when she grabbed him by the shirt and growled something in his ear. Finally, he nodded, and I think he looked embarrassed. She turned around, looking at me with a mischievous grin on her face. Ronnie counted down to whatever they were going to play. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Hey, hey, I know that you love me. She danced around like she was in an Avril Lavigne video, holding out her arms and pointing her fingers at me. I saw the expressions of surprise and shock on the faces of those around me. I'm sure my face turned purple. Jane finished by holding onto the arms of my chair, singing directly into my face. You know it's no secret. Hey, you, I want to be your girlfriend. She straightened up with a grin and gave me a small curtsy before returning to her seat. There was deathly silence all around. I heard Jeff suddenly laugh loudly. He sang, albeit not very well. I think it's no secret. This caused a few chuckles. Her mother, Mary, stood up and took Jane's hand. She picked it up. "Mary Jane Chafe, here." Jane rolled her eyes at me and grabbed her beer before she could be dragged away and told off. As soon as she was in the house, the real Babylon began. There was laughter and banter. Grandma didn't seem to notice anything. "I thought it was a happy song," she said. Ronnie apologized. She held me by my short and curly hair. "Sorry about that." Uncle Luke looked at me coldly. "She's not the kind of girl to play with honor," he said simply. I felt like I was being publicly whipped. "No, sir. I wouldn't do that. She's special, you know. She made me feel better than I had felt in months. There is something between us, but we both understand that it can't lead anywhere yet. I have a wife, even if she is a cheater. I have children and responsibilities. Maybe someday if I can sort out this mess in my life, but for now we're just friends." I noticed that several people were listening to me with more attention than I would have liked. Uncle Luke wasn't finished. "I'm not sure she feels the same way. She wears her heart on her sleeve and has been hurt more than once. Don't do this, Honor. Don't break it just because you can. She deserves better, God knows." His sincerity amazed me. "I would never want to hurt her, sir. Quite the opposite. I would do everything to prevent this from happening. At the same time, I cannot deny that she is only the second woman in my life for whom I have such feelings." The noise around him was increasing, and Ronnie seemed determined to rectify the situation by starting to play again. Uncle Luke simply nodded. I know you will do the right thing. I said I had to. I'll do the right thing. Isn't that what it all comes down to? Uncle Darren took Jane's place when she didn't return right away. I began to understand family ties. It turned out that he was Jeffrey's father, and his brother Daryl was the father of Lena, who was part of my welcome group after I first woke up at Diana's house. It was all quite confusing. Darren wanted to talk about my company again, and we soon had a lively conversation. Jeffrey, Daryl, and the younger Luke argued about the advantages, especially in the northern regions. They didn't think the savings were worth the investment. This sparked a discussion about my new patents, which of course led to me leaving my old company without transferring them. By that time, I had already drunk 2 more beers and was hiding almost nothing. They had everything ready: monopoly, best salary and benefits in business, but they decided to betray me. I don't forgive betrayal. Let's see how they cope on a level playing field, without me paving the way, inventing new solutions, finding new customers, and ensuring the highest quality of our products. Now they are on their own. It's about family's honor. What were you talking about? More than 200 people. Are you just going to leave them? Darren asked worriedly. You don't understand. They abandoned me. They chose her instead of me. Everyone except a few people working for me knew what was going on. I could destroy them. I didn't do it. I left the business to them. They have a product and customers. Strong brand. It won't be easy for them. I won't babysit them or feed them with a silver spoon. They will have to work to remain competitive. Now it's their business. But no patents, said Jeffrey. They had 6 weeks to prepare. They could create a 2-year supply of critical circuit boards. There's plenty of time to find a new way to stay competitive. It's their business. Uncle Luke listened without interfering, but at that moment he entered into the conversation. You don't think they can handle it, do you? Honestly, how much time do you give them? The crowd fell silent. 6 months in the situation that they had. 6 months before they have to start laying people off. 4 months if they don't follow the advice I gave them when I left. Maybe a year if they do it right. From what I hear, it's more likely 4 months than a year. It's been over 2 months now and things aren't going well, I explained. And then, Uncle Luke asked. I shrugged. They will go bankrupt. 50 people will be out of work, 3 local businesses will lose their largest customer, and 10 million less will flow into the local economy each year. Quite an expensive choice on their part. But you could have stopped it, Darren said. I could, but at what cost? What's the benefit? They are rewarded for their betrayal, and I get back on the soulless treadmill and spend my life working for a bunch of ungrateful traitors. To hell with them, I felt a pair of arms wrap around me from behind. Leave him alone. You don't know half the story. They don't deserve it, Jane said, her head appearing next to mine. Uncle Daryl nodded. We don't blame him, Jane. It's hard to imagine what it would be like to be in his place. But this is family. How would you feel if everyone who was at the party that night found themselves out of work overnight? And this is even more. When was the last time you talked to Uncle Bill? Jane asked sharply. What about the scandal that you had about the sale of the plot near the pond? And it's all because of money. What about when Uncle Tom wanted to buy himself a share of your boat? Since when is family the most important thing? They had other options. This was not their only means of livelihood. His people have options too. He gave them a chance. I gave them the business and almost all the money. Doesn't he deserve happiness, don't you think? Would you like to spend your life helping people who betrayed you? I know I wouldn't want to. Jane objected. At this point, the conversation took a different direction, and she settled herself on the armrest of my chair, her legs resting on my lap, her arm wrapped around my neck. I hugged her waist. Everyone started talking about happiness, what it means, and how to choose your own happiness. I don't know if I agree with them. Too many other people are interfering. If you want to control your happiness, you shouldn't let anyone near you, especially into your heart. A few people began to say goodbye, and our group dwindled. The neighbors left, and my grandparents returned to the house, but not before I had time to thank them again for dinner. In the end, There were only about 8 of us left outside, telling stories and enjoying the cool evening air. Jane slid off the armrest and settled into my lap, pressing herself against me for warmth. I looked up and saw one of the brightest shooting stars I've ever seen. "Did you see this?" I whispered to Jane. "Make a wish," she answered, closing her eyes. I didn't know what to wish for. More nights like this. To be with children again. Go back in time. I ended up keeping it simple. Happiness, I thought. I wish to be happy again. "It's late," I told her. "Are you ready to go?" She grinned. "Nanny will skin all of us alive if we let you drive." "She's attracted to you, Honor. You have a sofa in the living room. We will need to get up early. I have to go to work in the morning." Without any immediate schedule, we stayed a little longer, watching the shooting stars and talking about dreams, the future, what we wanted to do. When there were only 4 of us left, we decided it was time to sleep. They showed me the way to the sofa. I took off my shoes and socks and had no doubt that I would fall asleep soundly. My belly was full, and I had drunk more than enough beer to quickly knock me out. I woke up pressed closely against Jane, her back to me, and my hand was numb. Her head lay on it. I pulled her closer, turning my head to brush her hair out of my face and pressing my cheek against hers. She purred, grabbing my hand and fidgeting. "Good morning, beauty," I whispered. "SHHH. A little more," she muttered. I heard movement in the house. We were in a room that was 4 steps down from the main level, and light streamed through the windows. "Aren't you going to get in trouble for being here?" I asked. I felt her tense up. "Crap. I just came in to say goodnight after going to the toilet." I laughed and let her go. She turned and kissed me quickly. We weren't the only ones in the room. Ronnie was sleeping on the other couch, and Jeffrey was snoring in the fully reclined chair. Jane looked around and tiptoed away. I wondered where she must have slept. I woke up completely and slowly put on my socks and boots. I carefully arranged the pillows and folded the blanket, then went in search of the bathroom. As soon as I appeared, I was greeted and I almost laughed. It is unlikely that Jane could pass here unnoticed. Nanny seemed to be in charge of the kitchen. She stood at the stove, stirring probably a dozen eggs. I walked up behind her and kissed her on the cheek. "Good morning, Nanny," I said. She smiled at me and then lightly hit me with the spoon. "Sit down. Get something to drink." There were only a few people sitting at the table. Uncle Luke and one of the brothers, Daryl or Darren. I still haven't figured it out. Anna was standing nearby, so it was probably her husband, Daryl. They gave me a plate with scrambled eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and a sausage. Uncle Luke was eating what looked like leftovers from last night's dinner. I poured myself a cup of coffee. Uncle Daryl handed me a bottle of aspirin. I poured out 3 pills and thanked him. He seemed to still be thinking about our conversation last night. "You have a patent. Are you thinking about starting over on your own terms?" he asked. "I haven't thought about it seriously yet. It's possible. I'm not sure I'd like to do this at home again," I replied, scooping eggs and toast into a sandwich. Uncle Luke chimed in. "Maybe it's time to think about it. From what you said, it doesn't look like they have much time left before it's too late." He looked at me for a long time, making me feel uncomfortable. "I can't tell you what to do, but you have to ask yourself, which of you is the better person? How will you feel if you destroy 50 families, your relatives, and an entire community?" "I wonder how they feel about ruining my life," I said, perhaps with more bitterness than I should have. He drank from his cup of tea for a long time. "I think they probably feel very bad." "I would definitely feel disgusting. People make mistakes, Honor. All of us. I know I've done a lot." Nanny appeared behind me, placing a bowl of eggs on the table. "Lord knows it's true," she laughed. She ruffled my hair, just like my uncle did, and it gave me goosebumps. "Leave the guy alone. What they did with him was just a holy show. When the time comes, he will do the right thing." Jane walked into the kitchen, looking as beautiful as Sunday morning, and grabbed a piece of toast, beginning to gnaw on it. "I can't stay, Nanny. We're late." I stuffed the rest of the sandwich into my mouth, but didn't get to the coffee before Jane grabbed it and took a sip. She placed it next to me. "Ready?" she asked. I don't know if she was in such a hurry or if she just didn't want to face another interrogation. I finished my glass of water, then took a sip of coffee. Jane had already cleared my plate and was washing it in the sink. I wanted to relax a little more and give the aspirin more time to work, but I didn't want to argue. I got up. Thanks again for dinner and breakfast. Bye, Nanny, Grandfather. See you later, Uncle Darren, Jane said, kissing Uncle Luke on the cheek. Crap. I was still wrong. I was sure it was Daryl. Honor, if you don't have plans today, maybe you can come by during the day, said Darren. Where? I asked. Opposite Lena's house. Jane will show you. Fine. I have no plans, but I will need to take care of some things in the morning. How about after lunch? Whenever. You are always a welcome guest. I managed to leave after that and get to the motorcycle. You were in a hurry, I teased her. If I had stayed longer, they would have made me work. I would like to clean myself up before work and not smell like beer. Her car was at the hotel, and I dropped her off there. I received a nice warm kiss goodbye. See you in the evening, she asked. I think I'll be somewhere nearby. Should I meet you somewhere? Call me around 6. Tell me where you will be. I realized I didn't know her number, and it took a couple of minutes until she entered it into my phone. Does he work here? She asked. It works everywhere. I do a lot of international business. Of course, she quickly kissed me again. And you're not the only one who could use a shower, she laughed, wincing. The hint is understood. I spent a lazy morning taking a nap in my rarely used bed, took a long shower, and left my dirty clothes in one of the hotel laundry bags. I checked with the front desk to see if there was a problem since I only used the bed one night out of 3. There were no messages and no complaints either. Sitting at the table in my room, I called Aunt Jean and made sure everything was going well. I gave her the home decorator's bill, and she assured me that she would take care of it. She asked me about returning, but I was not yet ready to commit to anything. You know, your daughter's birthday is in 3 weeks. You'll be here. Yes, I didn't forget, I assured her. I don't think I'll be here for more than a week or 2. The journey by motorcycle will take at least 3 days, including the ferry. She fell silent. I don't want to put pressure on you, Honor, but Beth isn't feeling well. If you could give her some time, it would help a lot. I plan to talk to her a little later. She smiled. That would be wonderful. She has been in a terrible state for the last couple of days. Worst thing since I've been here. I'm sure she'd be glad to hear from you. Let me go and call Marie. Maria completely changed her attitude since her last attempt. She happily told me about school and new friends. I barely managed to get a word in until the very end. Come home, Dad, she begged. Soon, Angel, I promise. Just a few more days, okay? I miss you. I miss your stories. I miss the way you lay me down, she pouted. I miss you too. I love you and will see you soon. When? Tomorrow? I can't do it that fast. The journey home takes several days. I'm far away, on an island. Maybe this weekend, I said. This was the first time I actually gave myself a deadline. But it will be our secret, okay? I want to make a surprise. She became happier. Do you promise? I looked at her, so joyful, and I just couldn't disappoint her anymore. No later than Sunday, okay, I promise. Her little brother was nearby. They usually talked to me together. More precisely, she said, but I loved seeing him and communicating with him. He had already started to say a few words, and when he pointed to the screen and said, "Yes, yes," I realized that I had been away too long. Maria hugged her brother. "Daddy is coming home," she told him. She ran with the tablet, the camera swinging, showing the floor, ceiling, and walls until it stabilized and I saw Carol again. "Thank you for keeping everything under control," I told her. "Dave must be pretty mad at me." She shook her head. "I think you're the only one he's not angry with. He said he could come next week since it looked like I was never coming home. I promise it won't last long. I needed this time, Carol. It did me good. I haven't decided what to do yet, but my thoughts are in order now. If Dave wants to come, I'll buy him a ticket. It's the least I can do." That would be nice. He talks to Beth again. This is already a step forward. Are you really going to call her? As soon as I'm done with you. She smiled widely. By honor. Tomorrow, around the same time. The screen went dark. I prepared myself for a difficult conversation and dialed Beth's number. Honor? It's you? She answered. Did you find out my number? Mom called while you were talking to our daughter. How are you feeling, Beth? It used to be better. And you? Better. Sorry for leaving so suddenly. I feel much better. I bet, she said. So do you plan to come back someday? Or have you already settled down forever? Not for long. I needed this time. I miss my children terribly. She sighed loudly. You don't miss your cheating wife, do you? Of course, I miss you. You have been the love of my life for over 20 years. I just don't know how to deal with this. Well, of course you showed it to me, right? He punished me well. I think this was the last good sex I should expect from you. Her attitude was starting to irritate me. Now, it's all my fault. I think this call was a mistake, I said. Wow, this is something new. Perfect honor admitting a mistake, she chuckled. I admit I made a few mistakes, and not small ones. Believing in your wife's fidelity was a big mistake. This whole thing with marrying your childhood love, damn it, continue. Try to hurt me. I deserve it, right? I'm a disgusting, horrible person, and I don't deserve to live. Terrible wife and mother. Disgusting. Believe me, I've heard it all before. Why did you even call, Honor? No, I don't think so. I won't bother you. You probably have things to do. She hung up without saying goodbye. My good mood disappeared during the conversation. I was glad that I was returning to the children, and I was even more glad that I had my own place. I called Aunt Jean again. She laughed. You're fast. I have a few more things to do. Contact Carol and buy her husband Dave a round-trip ticket to come visit her. Understood. Plane ticket for Beth's dad. One more thing, buy groceries this weekend. Eggs, milk, butter, fruit, salad. Steaks, minced meat, bread. Understood. I know what they put in the refrigerator. Are you coming back? I think this weekend. I wouldn't want this to become known. Certainly. Your affairs are only your affairs. You will love your home. He's gorgeous on the inside. Thank you. Send Carol flowers. Thank her for everything. Again? She giggled. They were delivered on Saturday. I laughed. Okay, forget it. Chocolate by midweek. I'll order her a fruit bouquet. She fell silent for a while. I didn't want to interfere, but anything for your mother. No, I think nothing. I'm not in the mood to encourage her behavior. I heard a sigh. This has already become commonplace. But she's your mother, Honor. She looked after my children while my wife cheated on me. In my opinion, this is almost unforgivable. Understood. Great. Now she's mad at me too. Aunt Jean, if you have a problem with this, let me know. I'll find someone else to do this. No, everything is fine. I'm not going to give up the only job in town. I'll do whatever you ask. This is not the only job in town, I said. Perhaps not today, but in a month. Do you need anything else? No, I think that's it. If I forget something, I'll write you an email. Goodbye. I didn't even wait for her answer. Between her and Beth, I was no longer in the mood to put up with anyone's bullshit. A light lunch in the fresh air helped a little, and I went to Lena's, since I forgot to ask for directions to Darren's house. She received me and treated me to tea before telling me where to go. From Lena, I learned that her father worked in prison on a rotating schedule. 4 12-hour shifts, then 3 days off, then 3 12-hour shifts and 4 days off. Thanks to his seniority, he had free weekends. Not a bad job, I must admit. I was used to 5 12 14-hour workdays, and usually another half day on Saturdays. I was determined that this was one of those things that needed to change. Darren warmly welcomed me into his home, and Anna handed me a soda. In my house, it is forbidden to drink before dark on weekdays, she said with a smile. It suits me, I assured her. It turns out Darren had a plan. At the meeting were his son Jeffrey, Ronnie, and another uncle, whom I had seen before, but had not yet had a chance to talk to. Tom was Darren's cousin, another one of my grandmother's sister's children. My grandmother had 11 brothers and sisters, so there were quite a lot of them here. They wanted to talk about business. They were interested in what I was doing and how it would work in Canada. What will be the requirements for getting started? I didn't want to ruin their dreams, but getting into this business was not easy, especially if you don't have connections in the construction industry. We talked about specializing in certain components of what we did. I asked them about the availability of engineering talent, and they were proud of their local university, Memorial University of Newfoundland, one of the top 5 universities in all of Canada. They had a full engineering program with a required internship where students had to complete 4 semesters, so interns were readily available. An hour had passed since the discussion began, and by then their enthusiasm had visibly waned. I got an idea. I'm not sure I want to implement it. It would be more than what the people at home deserve. I took a few minutes to think about it and realized that I was ignoring everyone else, and they, in turn, fell silent, waiting for me. I need to think for a minute, okay? Let me think it over. Darren nodded. Certainly. Take your time. I grabbed another soda and went outside. I continued to run through various scenarios and their consequences when Ronnie plopped down next to me. Don't pay attention to me, he said. I need a break from their castles in the air. He sat back and enjoyed the sun. I think I have found a solution that suits many of my desires. What does Uncle Tom do? I asked. Ronnie was in no hurry to answer, mainly engaged in the repair of air conditioning and heating systems, some new installations. How big is his company? Only he and Uncle Bobby own it. They employ 4 people, and Aunt Joni takes calls and does the bookkeeping. Are there many engineers in St. John's? Most don't stay here long. Moving to Toronto or Ottawa. Some go to Labrador, Calgary, or even Vancouver. The university graduates many engineers. Let's go back. Maybe this will work. He gave me a strange look, but took his drink and followed me into the house. I proposed my idea. They will produce controllers, which have been a key element of my company's energy solutions. They will use my patents, including the 2 newest ones. They will be allowed to provide complete solutions throughout Canada, and my company will supply the additional components they require. In return, they will manufacture and supply control boards exclusively to my company in the USA. We will enter into a non-compete agreement for the rest of the world. I will get most of Europe where I already have connections. They will be able to operate in the markets of the Pacific region and South America. I expect that within 3 years, they will have an office in Vancouver to handle Asian business. I will also provide them with at least 1 experienced engineer to help them get started. They will have to act quickly. If we're going to do this, we need to start almost immediately, and I want the new monitoring devices to be ready within 6 months, preferably sooner. 6 months is very fast, said Tom. I know. I'll help. I will come often, and we can arrange conference calls. I will provide a good engineer who will work with you. It's definitely possible. I just don't know anything about doing business in Canada. At this stage, there is no need to worry about a bunch of legal documents. You are family. I count on you not to let me down. Darren nodded, perhaps a little annoyed that I even mentioned it. It won't be a problem. We're not like that old gang. My word is the same as yours. I would suggest postponing any other business until the controller department starts working. With this in stock, you will have a technological advantage over anyone else. If I have new ideas in this area, they will go to you. Do you think this is feasible? In the long term, what scale of business are we talking about? Asked Darren. If you have the success I imagine, in 5 years you could employ 30 to 40 people here and another dozen in Vancouver. It won't be easy, but I will work with you, and I have some experience in this area. That's a lot of people in such a short time, Tom said. I started alone, with virtually no funds, with weaker patents. After 7 years, I had 50 people working for me, and there might have been more if I had not controlled growth so carefully. Last year, more than $10 million. Can we discuss this? Asked Darren. Certainly. Just remember, the faster the better. I'll be leaving in a few days, and I'd like to have the thing on track to launch before I leave. We won't have time to complete all the documents by this time, Tom objected. To hell with the documents. I need a plan and a promise. I'll give you money and a patent. Say you will do it and get started. Of course, this did not solve all the issues. The biggest thing was that I needed to start a new company when I returned home. As for the old company, it no longer existed for me. I wasn't going to make things easier for everyone else. No way. I left them to their discussion and unzipped the little guitar case I had on the back of the bike. I asked Anna for beer, assuring her that I would not drink it in the house. Then I went outside, enjoying the air and playing my six-string. I was interrupted several times with questions, which I answered as best I could. The questions were good, and they helped me feel more confident in my spontaneous decision. "What are you playing?" Ronnie asked, looking out of the house. "Yes, nothing. Something I was working on while hiking the Appalachian Trail about a month ago." "Like, is this the original?" I nodded. "Do you have more words than this chorus you keep mumbling?" There were, but it was difficult to reveal them. They were incredibly personal. Ronnie ran away and returned from home with a guitar. "Does everyone here have a guitar?" He laughed. "In this family, B.I." I walked him through the chords for the verse and chose a melody for it. Not the most fun song. "You're really snotty, you know," Ronnie laughed. "Sorry, it wasn't the best summer for me." "No need to apologize, remember? I'm a waiter. I understand." He worked on the music with me and made it better. It came easily to him, unlike me, who spent dozens of hours choosing the melody. "It's a newfie, you know," he said. "Noof? How?" "New style. It is a mixture of traditional and modern. Something like what Great Big Sea plays. You say you wrote this before you came here, B.I.?" "Yes, when I walked along the Appalachian Trail." He laughed. "It just confirms that you're a fucking noof, whether you like it or not." Honor noof. He came up with a great opening riff, and we played it a few times. I heard the voices inside become more animated. The next time they sent Jeffrey, I told him I wouldn't answer any questions with a dry throat. He brought me a beer and got the answer to his question. "You know we'll have to play this tonight." "Tonight? Don't think. I'm not ready to bare my soul to everyone else." "We'll have to. People want to hear something original. You can't play the same power ballads over and over again. Trust me." "Who are they?" "Another kitchen party." "I told you so. We will be returning to the pub due to popular demand." "You didn't tell me anything, damn it." He looked at me in surprise. "I swear I did. Last night. You weren't that drunk. If I did, I don't remember it." "Sorry. I don't remember this. Everything was somehow chaotic." He laughed. "No joke. I was sure they would lock Jane in her room if she became any more impudent." "I want to be your girlfriend," he sang. I'm sure I blushed. "I didn't try to turn her on." "Damn, we all know that. It is what it is. What else do you have that we could play?" "Actually, I had one more song. I actually thought it was a pretty good pub song, and not so gloomy." Ronnie used his magic again, although this time it took him longer, and we were interrupted several times. However, by the time we finished and played it a few times, I was surprised how much it had changed its sound, like day and night. That's what I told him. "Damn," he muttered. "There is nothing complicated about it. You've already done all the hard work. I just did a little polishing." "So it's true, you can polish shit too." Any responses he made were cut short when Jeffrey reappeared, saying that I was expected inside. As soon as I entered, both men stood up. Uncle Darren extended his hand. "We will be happy to be partners in this matter, Honor. Ready to start as soon as you are ready." Tom joined him, shaking my hand. "We know that you are taking a big risk by trusting us," he said. "We won't let you down." "I know," I answered. "We can open a bank account tomorrow, and I will transfer the initial funds. It won't take more than a couple of days. I'll leave you the patents and try to find a way to send an engineer here by the end of next week. I plan to leave at the end of the week, and we'll start working on this from the other side." In the meantime, I hope you can start setting up a business." Darren nodded. "We can do this." "Damn, this will be an interesting adventure," he said with a wide smile. "It will definitely happen," I said. That evening, we found ourselves back on George Street playing. Jane was already there when I arrived. "Ronnie called and said where you would be," she said. "I would have stayed home alone if I had been waiting for your call." There was some resentment in her words. "I didn't know where we were going until I got here a couple of minutes ago." Ronnie said it was a surprise. "I don't know what the surprise is. I still can't differentiate between these establishments." She glanced quickly at Ronnie before grabbing my hand. "The second largest dance floor in the area. New bands don't usually start here. We're not a group, Jane. Just two guys singing some songs. Did you even see the sign outside? Show the runner and the waiter with honor Noof. What, are you blind? The banner is 5 feet. It seems I was truly blind." She laughed when she saw my stunned face. "Don't worry, Honor. Just have fun. Do what you did before. You'll be great." "Great? Certainly. I think I need to talk to Ronnie." She laughed as I wandered off to find another family member I needed to kill. Hell, he was helping some guy set up a drum kit on stage. "What the hell is going on, Ronnie?" "We're installing the equipment," he said. "Are we a group for the evening? And now we have a drummer? What else is going on that I don't know about?" He simply shrugged, looking to the side, and I saw that his girlfriend, who he may or may not be dating, was watching us. "There's not much to tell here, B.I. Greg, the owner, is my friend. He invited us to play here. It's a good job, although the pay isn't much. Free drinks all night for the group. People want to hear us. You can't let them down." "Damn it, Ronnie. We didn't even rehearse. And now we have a drummer. Pete is good. I've played with him more than once. He can play along with anything. We can handle it. It's not that hard. It's not much different from last night." That same evening, when I passed out and found myself in Jane's bed in the morning, I reminded him. "Are you complaining now, B.I.? I thought you'd be grateful. Stop worrying." I didn't want to admit it, but Ronnie was right. We played 3 sets, 2 of which were in front of a full house. Jane joined us on stage for about a third of the songs, and she was amazing. She seemed to be quite famous. Every time she stepped on stage, the crowd would nearly tear the roof off the place before she could even open her mouth. Ronnie seemed to know half of St. John's. Every half-dozen songs, he would pull someone on stage, tell some story from their past, and we would have a guest performer or musician appear for a couple of songs. The crowd was rowdy, drinking heavily, singing loudly, and dancing wildly. No one seemed to care that our songs had no meaning or theme. Everyone just wanted to have a good time. We ended up playing both songs I wrote, and I was surprised and happy that they were well received. During the third set, we were even asked to do a second song as an encore, "The Runner and the Waiter," which Ronnie and I had reworked before the show. Hearing the crowd repeat the first 2 lines of each chorus was amazing. A couple hundred people shouted your words, dreams, and heartache. I admit, by the third set, I was a little tipsy. Jane was on stage with us, as was Ronnie's girl, who stood behind and played some strange shape of tambourine. Jane was at least as tipsy as I was, and I received a lot of affection from her. To be honest, I felt great. Incredible. People clapped, shouted, ordered songs. On many occasions, I just followed Ronnie, but no one cared. There were pretty young girls in the crowd, looking at me with loving eyes. "Damn you, Honor," Jane whispered in my ear, standing behind me with her arm around my waist. "Don't give these women hope. Let me remind you that you are already busy twice." At least she said it with a smile in her voice. "Are you jealous?" I teased her, putting my guitar down for a quick break halfway through the third set. Seriously, should I be jealous of an old guy with a hairy, ugly face who is half deaf? To a married man with children who God knows will never cheat on his wife, no matter how easily accessible these ladies are. To the unemployed Yankee who came here from afar, be jealous. She pinched me. Let's see who will be jealous. There were a couple of handsome guys over there who were looking at me. She turned to leave and screamed as I pulled her back into my arms and kissed her until the crowd screamed. She blushed deeply when I let her go. "I love you, honey. You know I love you," I told her in my best Newfin. Her smile was slightly sad. "I know you do, Honor. But that's not enough, right?" I held her in my arms, looking into her mesmerizing eyes. "I need time, Jane. You know what situation I'm in." She shrugged it off with a smile. "I know, Honor. So now we have two waiters in the runner and waiter group. But I won't wait forever." She slipped out of my arms, took my hand, and pulled me off the stage, where beer was waiting for us straight from the hands of the owner. Ronnie stood next to him. "I knew it," he said, smiling. "When I saw you that night, I knew you were going to be a hit. We need to make this a regular event." I looked at Ronnie, who looked as happy as the cat that ate the canary. He couldn't help but notice that his girlfriend was nearby, clinging to him like a seashell. "Let's talk. Ronnie will contact you," I said. He was clearly not happy with my answer, but he patted me on the shoulder. "Let's do so. Let's talk about money later. I'm sure we can come to an agreement." This was not the time to talk to Ronnie, but we had to talk. I didn't like being confronted with a fact. We finished our set, and the place was still 2/3 full. We even played 2 encores before I begged for the end. I was exhausted, completely exhausted, and could barely speak. While Pete put away his equipment, I cornered Ronnie. "We need to talk. So speak, B.I. I have all your attention. Not a bad concert, eh? I hope you don't have any other surprises in store. You know I can't stay. I'm leaving in a couple of days. I need to go back and sort things out." His eyes told me everything. "Damn it," he snapped. "Are you telling me this now? After everything I've done, they are waiting for us next weekend. 2 evenings, great pay. Don't you think it would be worth talking to me before making such decisions? You know that I'm not here forever. Damn it, B.I. Wake up already." "But you told Uncle Darren." "I told him to start, and I will come regularly. Half the time, no more than 1 or 2 weeks at a time. I'm not saying we can't play, but you have to work with me. Talk to me. Don't just run forward like crazy." "And when will you return then? Do you have any understanding?" he asked, looking around. Then I realized that we had a small audience. Jane stood behind me with 2 beers in her hands. His girlfriend, whom I recognized as Rhonda, was waiting for him. A couple of our cousins we played with last time were standing nearby. "I can't say now. When I get home and know what I need to do, I can call you and give you a rough schedule. I'll be here in about 3 weeks." He looked disappointed, but nodded. "Okay, we'll adjust. Don't leave me hanging, Honor." "I won't leave you. I promise I'll give you a schedule as soon as I can." He nodded and turned away, hugging his girlfriend. Jane stood in front of me and handed me the mug. "When were you going to tell me, Honor?" I sighed and took a sip. "Tonight. I just made a decision after talking to Darren today. My daughter's birthday is in a couple of weeks, and I've already told her I'll be back by this weekend. I have to go back. There are many business issues that need to be resolved. It will be hellish weeks before I can return, but I'll be back. In less than a month. I promise." I grabbed her hand and pulled her closer. All this happened today. A conversation with my Marie, a business conversation with Darren and Tom. You have to believe me, Jane. I'm not hiding anything from you. We just didn't have a chance to talk." She nodded slowly. "I believe you, Honor. But it still hurts a little. Promise me you'll come back, hopefully with a clear head." "I promise. As for a clear head, all we can do is hope. But I can say one thing. You are the best thing that happened to me in a long time. I won't forget this." She came closer, spilling some of my beer as she kissed me. I mean, really kissed me. "Things will get even better, Honor, if you give us at least half a chance." I knew I was in for a busy day. Financial affairs and paperwork. Preparing before returning home. Getting my thoughts in order before meeting BB and Mom and many others. I've been pretty lazy lately, going to bed well after midnight, waking up around noon, eating and drinking whatever I wanted. This time I woke up at a reasonable time and ate healthy. Then I went to the bank to initiate a large transfer. Darren met me there, and we opened a new business account. The wheels were set in motion. We were moving at full speed. It was a good feeling, if a little reckless. Okay, very reckless. After lunch, I returned to the hotel to make my daily call home. It only took a few minutes before all my plans went to hell. Mrs. D was clearly waiting for me. As soon as I entered the network, she screamed my name. Honor? Honor, are you there? I'm here, Mrs. D. I was only 4 minutes late. God bless. You should come home. You must come home now. She almost squealed. She looked terrible. Disheveled hair, dark circles under her eyes. I could have sworn she was crying. Is it about the children? Did something happen to Marie or Billy? I asked. She shook her head sharply. No, the children are fine, at least for now. This is Beth. I was surprised at how shocked and appalled I was by this. What's happened? Was she hurt? She's gone, Honor. Beth left. I don't know where. She left a note. I don't think she'll come back. She burst into tears. Beth left, abandoned our children. Then it struck me how much I relied on her to take care of the children while I dealt with my own problems, essentially abandoning them. I felt terrible for a variety of reasons. What was in the note, Mrs. D, please? Nothing special, she said, taking out a piece of paper. Here, I'll read it to you. Mom, I'm sorry, but I just can't do this. I can't cope without Honor, and he won't come back. He's moved on, and I can't blame him. It's all my fault. When I'm gone, everything will get better, I'm sure of it. I'm a worthless wife and mother, and nothing I do will save his company. I cannot be responsible for the well-being of 200 people. If I'm gone, Honor can come back and fix everything. Please don't look for me. I don't want to be found. Sorry to do this to you. Tell Honor I'm sorry and that I will always love him. I love you and Dad, but I can't stand it anymore. Take care of my babies. With love, BB. I was stunned. Honor, what are we going to do? I'll return home. I'll get there as quickly as possible, and then I'll find BB and drag her home. Please hurry, Honor. Please, my daughter is in trouble. I'll do everything I can. Are the children nearby? Yes, do you want to talk to them? Certainly. Just a couple of minutes, I said. I tried to keep my hands together while I talked to the kids. They didn't seem to be badly hurt. Mrs. D told them that their mom was away on a business trip, as was their dad. As soon as I ended the call, I took action. I started with 3 calls. First, I called Darren and Ronnie, telling them I was leaving immediately. I didn't go into detail, I just said that I had an emergency at home and needed to leave immediately. Then came the most difficult call. Honor? Hello, Jane. Can you talk? Wait a minute, I'll call you back. She kept her word. What's so important that you call me at work? She asked. There was slight irritation in her voice. Sorry to bother you. I have to leave right now. Beth ran away and left the children with her mother. I have to find out what's going on. I will be away for a long time to sort out business and family issues. If I can't find her, I don't know how long I'll be gone. Children should come first, and I have neglected them since she cheated. I have to fix everything. I have to. I understand, Honor. Do what you have to do. Can I help you with something? She took it better than I thought. I'm heading to the airport, taking the next flight. If I have to, I'll take a charter one. Can you ask someone to pick up my motorcycle at the airport? I'll tell you where it's parked, and the key will be under the seat. I can do it. Just let me know when you arrive safely. I'll let you know. I promise. I'll keep in touch. I love you, Honor. You know that, right? I love you. Do I love her? It's hard to say. I have only loved one woman all my life, and that has been since childhood. The way I felt about Jane was not the same way I felt about Beth before the whole cheating thing. But at the same time, it was something different, deeper than I had ever felt for another woman. Jane, there were only 2 women in my life who touched me. You and Beth. My life is in chaos right now, but you are my support. I'll come back. I love you. But you still love Beth, don't you? This was a difficult question. I will probably always love her. She has been mine since I was 4 years old. She is the mother of my children, but love is not always enough. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen next, but damn it, I don't want to lose you. You won't lose me, Honor. Do what you have to do and come back to me. As soon as possible. It wasn't cheap, but I managed to arrange a few transfers and get a limousine that brought me to Bedenton by 10 o'clock in the evening. As soon as the limo arrived, I texted Jane that I had arrived safely. It was almost midnight in Newfoundland, so I was a little surprised when I received an answer right away. Thank you for informing me. Take care of yourself. Good luck. Good night. I was almost swept off my feet by Mrs. D as soon as I walked through the door. I hugged her while she cried. I was surprised and a little annoyed to see that my mom and sister were there too. Find my daughter, Honor. Please, bring her home, Mrs. D sobbed. I'll do my best. I promise, I said. When she walked away, Mom came up to me, but I took a step back. I wasn't ready to make a relationship with her. Bye, maybe never. Honor, she said. How can we help? I don't know yet. Are the children already asleep? A little over an hour ago, Mrs. D answered. They'll be glad to see you back. You returned home, didn't you? Asked my sister. I was not obliged to answer her, but I realized that everyone was interested in this. For now, yes, but by how much, I'm not sure. This is not my main concern. The main thing is to find BB. Do we have any idea where she went? Her mother shook her head. No, she left in the middle of the night. Apparently, I took a few things with me. Her car is missing, and this note is the only clue. Okay, there's not much we can do now, but we'll start tomorrow morning. I will review accounts, transactions, and hire a private investigator. We'll find her. I held a backpack with things and waved at them. I'm tired. I'll go get myself cleaned up and get some rest. I don't want to talk about anything right now, if you don't mind. We'll see how I deal with things tomorrow. Mom and sister looked disappointed, but they took the hint. They hugged Mrs. D and made me accept the hug. I didn't answer them in kind. No way. I looked into the room of the children who were sleeping peacefully, suspecting nothing. After that, I took a shower, threw my dirty clothes into the washing machine, and decided to check the family bills. If she used an ATM, maybe that will give me a clue about her whereabouts. Logging into the computer, I found my first clue. Not about where Beth was, but why she left. She was on YouTube, and her last video was from our first concert. I don't know how she knew about this, but the history was full of videos of my actions. Party at Diana's house where I played while Jane sang. Her little number at Uncle Luke's family dinner. Even my drunken debut performance the first time we played George Street. I guess this is what happens when everyone has a video camera on their phone. I noticed that 2 of them were posted by Rhonda, Ronnie's ex and current girlfriend, and Jeffrey posted a couple more. I watched the videos, and they were quite incriminating. I could understand why Beth told her mother that I had moved on. From the outside, it looked exactly like this. Definitely doesn't sound like someone grieving over his marriage. Bank accounts provided no clues. They only showed significant cash withdrawals from the ATM, for the amount of $600 twice, but it was in the city and did not give any hints about her whereabouts. Checking credit cards didn't help either, nor did bank accounts. I ran out of ideas to search for, turned everything off, and went to sleep in my bed for the first time in months. I was not allowed to sleep. At all. I was woken up by a 4-year-old bully jumping on me. Dad's home. Dad's home. Marie repeated, using me as a trampoline. I guess this is payback for me buying her classic Dr. Seuss books. Jump on Daddy was always one of her favorites. Billy was still sleeping in his crib, so I put little Marie on my shoulders and picked up my baby. Mrs. D appeared a few minutes later in a dressing gown. She looked as exhausted as I did. Make some coffee, she said, taking Billy from me. I'll make sure this little demon gets cleaned up and dressed. You are an angel, I told her. She looked at me strangely. You wouldn't say that if you knew what nasty thoughts I had when Beth disappeared. Of course, Beth's disappearance was my fault. Everything is always my fault. I was hoping for more from Mrs. D. Did Dave come? I asked. She shook her head. Arrives at 3. I have to pick him up. I'll leave before 2. Maybe if we hurry, we'll have good news for him. Unfortunately, when Mr. and Mrs. D returned, the only good news I could tell them was that I had 2 different investigative agencies working for me. Mom came and looked after the children. Meanwhile, I tried to conduct a financial examination in search of at least some clue. At least some. The only thing I could find was a gas receipt for New York, just 10 miles from the city. I finished examining her clothes and toiletries. I also checked our travel equipment. She only took 1 full suitcase and 1 travel bag. I wasn't sure how much clothing she took with her, but it didn't look like much. Many of her toiletries were missing. I called Aunt Jean, telling her I was back in town and didn't need to do any more grocery shopping. For now, I will stay in our old house. I told her why I came back after I swore it to secrecy. I didn't want the whole town to know that Beth was gone. It turned out to be no use, because by mid-afternoon I was receiving 1 call after another asking if I was back for good and offering to help find BB. I don't know who spilled the beans, but it didn't surprise me. As we found out earlier, it's almost impossible to keep secrets in Bedenton. Papa Daniels was a tough man, old-fashioned, very similar to my father. He rarely showed emotion. When he walked through the door, he stepped forward and hugged me tightly. When he let me go, I saw something I never expected. Tears in his eyes. "Will you find my daughter, Honor?" he asked, his voice breaking. "If it's at all possible, Dad, I'll do it. The best people work for me. I ask you to trust me. BB is still my wife, the mother of my children, the love of my life for the last 30 years. I'll find her." He looked at me for a long time before nodding. "This is good. Thank you, son. Tell me what I can do." Mrs. D held his hand, clinging to him. "What can we do?" For 3 days straight, we did nothing but follow up on leads, talk to our detectives, figure out where BB might have gone, and try our best to make life normal for the kids. A lot of people came in asking about us, about Beth, about the business. For the most part, Mom did a decent job of keeping them away from us. Mostly, one person I never expected to see on my doorstep was Dale. Yes, that same Dale, the bastard who had sex with my wife. He looked bad, really bad, and frankly, I didn't care. He had lost weight and had a black eye that covered half his face. I didn't want to talk to him, but my mother insisted that I should listen to what he had to say. Dale stood on the porch, looking nervous as hell. "I don't want you to come into my house," I told him. He nodded. "Understand. I guess I'm not your favorite person right now." "Really?" I answered sarcastically. "Shall we talk?" he suggested. "Okay, why not? You can always beat him up after the conversation." We walked around the area a little before he spoke. "Fred got her drunk," he said. "What? How?" I almost choked with anger. "He didn't put anything in her drink, if that's what you're asking. This was not without her consent in the truest sense. She drank, and he took her to his home. You know Beth. She's so innocent. I know my wife. I think you don't know her as well as you thought. I'm just telling you what I saw and what I heard from Fred. She was upset and lonely because you worked a lot and were away often. Fred took advantage of this. He was cunning, gradually approaching her. Did you know she smoked?" "BB? Never," Dale chuckled. "Like I said, I don't think you knew her as well as you thought." Fred played the role of a friend, an understanding interlocutor. When you left, he gave her something to drink, gave her a smoke, and slipped her something. When she was almost unconscious, he played a dirty trick. He began to massage her back, and at the same time spoke to her in your voice. You know how he can imitate you. The first time he got to her, she thought it was you. He laughed as he told me how she kept calling him by your name. "Bastard," I growled. "Yes, Fred is a real bastard. You always see the best in people, Honor. You project your own values onto them. But Fred is an asshole. He is my brother, but he is not a good person." All this was difficult to digest, but it explained a lot. However, not everything. How did you get involved in this? Dale shrugged. I don't think I'm much better than my brother. When you went to China, Fred told me what he was doing. Damn, man, Beth is the sexiest woman in town, hands down. When I got the chance, I took it. By that time, Fred had already completely controlled Beth through illegal substances and blackmail with the threat of exposure. She didn't have much choice. She ended up taking illegal substances voluntarily just to cope with the guilt. That still doesn't explain much, I said. Holding hands in public, the fact that I never noticed traces of illegal substances, much more. Dale stopped. Listen, Honor. I don't know everything, just what Fred told me and what I saw. I've done a damn thing. And seriously, I wish I could cancel all this, but I can't. Now Fred is gone, and I'm persona non grata in these parts. I can't find a job. Nobody wants to mess with me. I have made enemies that I now have to avoid. I helped kill the golden hen, and I will have to pay for it for the rest of my life. If you're looking for my sympathy, it's no use, Dale. Now I can hardly restrain myself from strangling you on the spot. He nodded. Understand. Listen, I understand everything. There is no way to take it all back, and there is no way to make amends to you. I'm leaving. I have no future here anymore. Before I left, I wanted you to know that Beth has done some stupid things, but it's not all her fault. If you can, forgive her. Maybe someday. Thanks for telling me. Now get out of my territory. Next time I see you, you won't be in the mood to talk. He nodded sadly and left, a half-broken man. Sorry, he said finally, getting into his old shabby car. It was a big step back from what I blew up. That was the last time I saw Dale, and that was fine with me. Every day I tried to find a few minutes of privacy to talk to Jane and keep her informed of what was happening. I also spoke to Darren and realized that I needed to find an engineer to send to him. I hated putting it off, but I wasn't ready to deal with things until I did everything I could to find Beth. On the morning of the fourth day, we got an important trail. I was getting another update from one of the detectives when he spoke. Mr. Nolan, we may have a resource that could be useful. There are no guarantees, of course, but I think it could be useful. Then why aren't we using it yet? It will be expensive. Very expensive. It's not entirely legal. Do it. We are talking about a significant amount. My contact wants $20,000. Just do it. I will transfer the money immediately. In the future, don't hesitate to use any resources that can help. It's clear? Yes, sir. If this works, I could have results by this evening. Great job. We'll wait. I didn't want to instill unnecessary hopes in Beth's parents, but it's also unlikely that I'll be able to hide my excitement from them. I pretended to be busy with business and decided to do something new, something that had been long overdue. I went to my new home. I have to admit, Luann was a magician. The house looked like the picture. It seemed like it could be published in a magazine. It wasn't some feminine, modern style. It had a masculine vibe that made me feel at home. I spent a good hour walking around the house, looking at everything she had done. I ended up calling Luann. Honor Nolan, she laughed. I was already starting to wonder if I'd hear from you again. It could also cause complexes in a girl. It's hard to believe, I said. You're amazing. I heard her laugh. Yes, that's true. No modesty, right? Only a little less than the man who puts his name on everything he does. Touché. I just wanted to say that I am happy and impressed with your work. I also wanted to know if you could do one more small thing for me. I would love to, she replied. Great. It's not difficult. I want to turn my office, that room that was out of reach, into a music studio. Something like a studio. I play guitar and started writing music. I want to have a place for this. Can you handle it? Can I invite an expert? Everything you need, I said. Budget? I have no idea how much it might cost. I'm guessing it's not cheap. I will need electronics, soundproofing, and some tools. A Martin HD-28 Dreadnought guitar would be nice, maybe. Enough. Email me all the details and I'll talk to my boyfriend. I'll go figure out my budget before I do anything. Same credit card number. Yes, let me know if it comes out more than 30,000, otherwise just do it. She grinned. I love working with you, Honor. You're the most picky client I've ever had. You're so damn talented, Lewin. Oh yes, that's right. Kisses, dear. I'll let you know when we're ready to start. It was a much-needed respite and distraction. I was also reminded that I don't want to lose my music again. On the way back to the old house, I stopped by my mom's and picked up my dad's old guitar. The same one that I learned to play and played all these years. She fit comfortably into my hands. I kept my promise to myself by playing the house at Pooh Corner for little Marie and Billy. She seemed delighted, which reminded me of her mother, and it hurt. I was finishing the last line when the call came. More, Dad, she squealed, laughing. I need to make a call, honey. We'll play later. The private detective had news. Great news. How did you manage to get this? I asked. I can't go into details. I have someone in touch with her mobile operator. He was able to track her calls and determine her location by geolocation. Luckily, she didn't get rid of her phone, even though she blocked calls from everyone she knew. How soon will I receive information? I'm sending it to you by email right now. As soon as I saw her call locations, I knew it was solid information, and it was time to tell my parents. It took me a minute to explain what I had discovered. Do these locations tell you anything? Asked the father. Yes, it follows the route I took when I first left. Last call was in Front Royal. Now she must go through Shenandoah Park. What are you going to do? Of course, I'll go after her. I didn't leave right away. I slept a little and left at 4 in the morning to rest for the upcoming tests. I also wanted to avoid traffic jams in the city. The drive took 7 hours, including a stop at Ray to buy some gear in case I was wrong in guessing where it might be on the trail. I took a lightweight Osprey Exos backpack, an ultra-light tarp bow tie with matching mosquito net, a rumple duvet, and a NeoAir X-Lite mat, as well as a few small essentials. This was enough to survive several days on the trail. The entire gear weighed less than 6 pounds, so I could run with it. No extra clothes except a spare pair of socks, almost no amenities, and no kitchen kit. I was going to live on energy bars and mixed nuts. Assuming she would walk about 20-25 miles a day, I had a rough idea of where she might be. I parked the car 20 miles from where I thought it might be and headed out onto the trail in the opposite direction, crossing my fingers. The only thing that bothered me was the weather. There was a 50-50 chance of rain in the forecast, and I was not dressed or prepared for it. My Patagonia Houdini windbreaker weighed next to nothing and was almost as effective against anything more than a light drizzle. Still, I adored it. It was one of the few things I kept from my first hike. Before heading out on the trail, I sent a message to Jane letting her know that I might not be available for a few days, but that I would contact her as soon as possible. I then called Beth's parents and told them I was on the trail. They sounded alarmed, as one would expect. I even managed to talk to the children for a few minutes. Then I hit the road. I set a hard pace, jogging occasionally. I knew the trail and my capabilities well. In my fresh, super light gear, I knew I could walk a good 40 miles a day if necessary. I was already beginning to think that I had made a mistake with my calculations when the light began to fade, and suddenly I almost literally stumbled upon her. I recognized her immediately, although she did not recognize me at first. Her head was lowered, she looked at the ground in front of her, she walked slowly, carrying a backpack on her back that was too large. A couple of young bearded men walked next to her, trying to talk to her, but she seemed to ignore them. I stood still while she walked towards me, hunched over, head down, taking every step with difficulty. She was only a yard away from me when she must have noticed my feet in her limited field of vision. She took a step to the side to get around me, but I took a step towards her to stay in front of her. One of the guys who was hoping to hit on her spoke up. Bro, step away. Beth finally looked up, and I still wish I had a camera at the time. She gasped as she pulled back, taking 3 quick small steps before losing her balance and landing on her butt. Honor, she screamed before losing consciousness. Now I don't know what these guys were thinking, but I'll give them credit. They tried to come to her aid. One stood in front of me with his hands up, while the other tried to help Beth up by pulling her backpack. This didn't work out too well for him. "Guys, thanks for the escort, but then I'll do it myself," I said. "Why would that be?" asked the guy who stood in front of me, obviously not the sharpest knife in the drawer. "Because I am her husband, the father of her 2 children." The guys didn't look too convinced and turned to Beth for confirmation. I thought things might go wrong if she gave up on me. She was still sitting on her butt when she turned to the guys. "Thanks, but I'm fine now," she said. They muttered something about a lost opportunity, and I took Beth off her huge backpack. "How? How did you find me?" she asked. "God, BB, you have been mine for 25 years. Do you think you can hide from me?" She sat there, stunned, as I adjusted the straps of my backpack to fit her, then lengthened the straps on her backpack. I almost fell when I put on her backpack. Damn, that thing weighed at least 40 or 50 pounds. We will definitely solve this. With her backpack more or less set up for now, I extended my hand to help her stand. She didn't immediately take my hand. "I can't believe you're here," she whispered. "This is not a dream, right?" "No, BB, this is not a dream." I shook off the dirt from her and helped her put on the backpack that I was carrying. Her face brightened. "This backpack weighs almost nothing." It was the first time in a long time that I was this close to her, adjusting the waist belt, shoulder straps, adjustment straps, and chest strap. It was closer than I would have liked. "Let's go, BB. We need to find a place to spend the night. We have a long journey ahead of us tomorrow." It only took about 15 minutes before we found a suitable spot. We walked in silence, even when Beth came up to me and took my hand. This wasn't the smartest thing considering we were both using trekking poles, but I didn't protest. I didn't want her to run away again. "Relax," I told her. "Let me set up camp for the night. And then, if you want to talk, we can. If we don't want to, we'll have a lot of time to talk tomorrow." She took my words seriously, sat on a log, and watched me. "I need to call your parents. They are very worried. Do you want to talk to them?" She shook her head. Her mother answered the phone. "Honor, where are you? Did you find her?" "I'm on the path. Beth is with me. We set up camp for the night. It will probably take us a day and a half to get to the car, then another 7 hours to get back." "How is she?" "Everything is fine. Did she say anything?" Her father asked, and I realized that they were on speakerphone. "She's fine, but she's very tired. The hike is actually difficult, especially at the beginning. You are constantly climbing. We haven't really talked yet. My phone is almost dead, and I have no way to charge it, so I probably won't be able to make a call until we get to the car. Just know that she is healthy, safe, and with me. Can I talk to her?" I looked at BB, who was watching me carefully. She shook her head. "She's not ready yet. As soon as we get off the trail, okay?" Her mother's voice trembled. "Tell her we love her. Come back quickly." "I'll tell you, Mrs. D. Trust me, I will return her safe and sound." "Promise, Honor. Promise me," Mrs. D asked. "I promise." "Fine. Now hurry up home. We love you. We love you too." Beth remained strangely silent throughout this entire time and simply watched as I put the phone away and continued to work in the fading light of day. I slowly took everything out of her backpack, wondering who advised her on what to pack. She had everything but the kitchen sink. I started putting all the useless crap into one pile, gradually going through her equipment. Her sleeping pad was a full-size air mattress weighing 3 or 4 pounds. The sleeping bag was a huge, full-length Coleman sleeping bag, another 5 pounds. She had one of those dome-shaped tents with crisscrossing poles and an awning. Yes, her big 3 probably weighed 20 pounds. I thought she probably shopped at Walmart or Target. In my opinion, we won't need much of this crap the next day. Okay, maybe a sleeping bag, because we had no other alternative. When I finished inspecting and sorting through her gear, there was a tiny pile of items worth keeping and a huge pile of unnecessary junk. I still expected her to say something, but she was silent. I set up a mosquito tent and pulled an awning over it, There was still a chance of rain. I then placed her mat and mine inside, along with our sleeping bags. The rest of her gear, with the exception of her rain gear, half her toiletries, and her food, went back into her backpack. I poured the water from her 3-liter hydration bag into my flask and bottle. A cookware set with tons of fire pit supplies and a Coleman propane stove will get one last use. We can eat well because she carried 15 pounds of food with her. Chili mac, lasagna, or beef stew? I asked her. Stew, she answered quietly. Fine. I preferred Mountain House's chili mac. It wasn't bad for freeze-dried food. I put water on the stove and poured boiling water over the bags. A few minutes later, we were eating side by side. Have you walked this entire route? She asked suddenly. I already thought that I couldn't stand another day. My legs hurt like hell. We have been planning this trip for years. I studied the route and knew how I would get through it, how we would get through it. What equipment should we take? What should we do to prepare? You went into this business at random, with terrible equipment. I asked the guys at the store to help me, she said. I'm sure you did. They turned out to be idiots and just wanted to sell you more. My base weight when I walked this trail was under 9 pounds. Your backpack and tent weighed more than everything I was carrying. Tomorrow, we will get rid of all your equipment. You won't need all this until we get back to the car. Take off your shoes. I'll see what's wrong with your feet. She put her bag of food aside and unlaced her boots. Cotton socks. Stupid. The blisters, I must say, weren't too bad, considering the circumstances. I opened the pharmacy kit she bought, which someone advised her to buy. Maybe it will be useful after all. I found the right size medical sticker and applied bandages to her. Let them ventilate tonight. Tomorrow we'll put on new ones. Sorry, she said suddenly. It's okay. Many people develop blisters when they first start hiking the trails. No, Honor. Sorry for everything. I ruined everything. Yes, she ruined a lot. Let's not talk about this for now, okay? Cold. Great. Let's put everything away and get some sleep. We have a long journey tomorrow. To be fair, superlight gear may be lightweight, but it certainly isn't spacious. We were tightly packed in the tent. Not even 5 minutes had passed before she began to crawl towards me. BB, I said, a warning in my voice. Please, Honor. I sighed and pulled back the edge of my sleeping bag. Beth climbed inside, and I raised my hand, allowing her to crawl closer. I love you, Honor, she whispered. I know, BB. I love you too. She started kissing me, and I squeezed her lightly. No, honey. Not now, not here, not today. We are not ready for this yet. Not even close to ready. Can I kiss you goodnight? It's stupid, but I let her kiss me. Despite her betrayals, this was the woman I have loved all my life. It was hard to let it go. Do we have a chance? She whispered. Most likely not. Sorry. Too many lies, too many betrayals, too much deceit. I'm really sorry. I know I made mistakes, but I will fix everything if you give me half a chance. You know that I love you. I know. We'll talk tomorrow. Now is not the time. I woke up a couple of times during the night, and each time BB clung to me as if I could run away. I missed it. There were also missing memories of why we were separated. When the morning light penetrated through the awning, I managed to escape from her embrace. I started making coffee and breakfast with the last of her heavy ingredients. After this morning, we won't have a stove anymore. Exhausted, BB emerged from the tent in her underwear and t-shirt. I couldn't deny that she still looked as good as ever. Coffee? She asked. Hot and ready. Breakfast will be ready in 5 minutes. Then I'll take care of your legs. While the water for oatmeal was heating up, I blew off the rugs, rolled up the sleeping bags, and dismantled the tent. We ate in silence, and while Beth went about her morning routine, I finished getting ready. Her mat and sleeping bag easily doubled the weight of my backpack. It was so full that I had to tie her rug to the outside. When BB returned and got dressed, the camp was cleared. I put new bandages on her and helped her with her boots. Why are my things in your backpack? She asked. We will only carry one from now on. We don't need 90% of your equipment." She shook her head and began rummaging through the side pockets of her backpack. "Ta-da!" she exclaimed cheerfully, waving a small nylon bag. "What is this?" I asked. "A portable backpack," she said proudly. "Did you take 2 backpacks with you? Incredible. The guys at the store said that it would be useful when you want to go into the city and not carry a large backpack with you." I could only shake my head at their logic. "I can help. At least I can carry my sleeping bag." I didn't argue. I gave her the sleeping bag and watched as Beth rummaged through the old backpack a little more before she was satisfied. The small daypack weighed next to nothing, but it didn't have a frame, so it wouldn't be as comfortable to carry as mine. The entire backpack is believed to have weighed no more than 5 pounds. Mine was probably 12, 14 pounds, even with food and her mat. "I don't like it," she said. "I thought the hike would be fun. The only good thing about him so far was you. With the backpack you were carrying and the calluses on your feet, the hike can't be enjoyable." We returned to the trail and left her large backpack with "free" written on it. It wasn't entirely ethical, but I figured it might be useful to someone. After that we set off, and I carried all the equipment while BB, as far as her calluses would allow, walked ahead. It was a difficult transition. Not physically, but emotionally. I confronted her with reality. I told her everything I learned from Dale. Prohibited substances, BB. I'm not proud of it. I don't know how Fred talked me into it. I was probably curious and bored. "What about the other crap you were doing?" "I didn't take anything," she said. "I know it was stupid, but I'm not addicted." Not the best argument. If you were addicted, that might explain why you kept coming back to Fred over and over again. "It wasn't like that," she said. I laughed. "Straight out of the cheater's playbook. Why, BB? Why did you return to him after the first time? Just once, and maybe we could survive it. But again and again, months of betrayal." "I don't know. I trusted him, Honor. He was our friend. Even after that first mistake, I believed him. I believed it was a mistake, and that he was just as confused as I was. There was no reason for me to give in to him a second time. I guess if he really gave me substances that I didn't know about, that could be part of the reason. I swear, Honor, if I was taking something, I didn't know it." She slowed down, and I saw that she was crying. He did bad things to me, Honor, and I liked it. Maybe it was because of this. God, I hope it was because of illegal substances. He had photographs of the second time. He never blackmailed me directly, but he hinted at it. He was a real bastard." She stopped, turning to me. "I couldn't do this with that creep unless I was drunk. My therapist gave me a bunch of reasons why I screwed up like that. My hormones were a mess after Billy was born. It upset me that you continued to work more and more, even after you had 2 children. I've never been with anyone but you. I felt undervalued and my studies were wasted while I sat at home. I was angry that your damn business was more important than your family and me." "Damn it, BB. I know, Honor. I know. This is all just nonsense. There is no excuse for what I did. Not for putting myself in a position where I could be used for the first time. Not for letting him get to me a second time. And certainly not because I fell for his crap when you went to China." She turned sharply and walked forward faster than before. I had to speed up to keep up. "I'm such a damn idiot," she shouted. "Calling him to finish everything, God, how stupid that was." She stomped as if she wanted to drive her feet 6 inches into the ground. I knew what would most likely happen. "I'm a damn idiot. That's the last time," I told myself. I waited to see if she wanted to say anything else, but she just moved on in silence. Several minutes passed before I decided to break the silence. "Tell me about Dale." "Dale? This stupid freak. The first time I didn't even know he was there. Fred invited him without my knowledge. I threw a fit, but they forced me. I'm ashamed. I think I got caught up. Maybe he really gave me illegal substances. Everything was like a dream. But I can't deny that it was good. Damn, it was amazing, mind-blowing. It felt like I was on fire. I never expected this for sure. I didn't want it, but once they turned me on, I couldn't stop. I'm so sorry, Honor. I swear I didn't want this, and I regret that all this happened. I regret it too. It's a pity that I saw all this with my own eyes. You will never understand how devastating it was. I swear I died at that moment. My heart and soul sank to nothing. I wanted to ask one more thing, but I was too annoyed to continue. So I fell silent. She no longer tried to make excuses. We walked in silence for a good half hour before I spoke about the latest incident. What were you thinking, BB? How could you abandon our children? It's like you have the right to speak. You disappeared for several months. Damn, you haven't been a good dad the last couple of years. I tried, Honor. I tried to be a super wife. Raise your children, keep your house in order, be a socialite. I even tried to keep this damn company afloat, but I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. There was a lot of truth in her words. I didn't want to argue with her. I just wanted to understand. I know it wasn't easy, BB. Not easy. Is it not easy? You have no idea. While you were traveling around the world, hanging out with your new friends, living with that redhead, I was an outcast. I tried my best to keep this damn company going while taking care of your kids. I was forced to listen to judgmental bastards blaming me for all their problems. Not the perfect Honor who left them to their fate. No, only a stupid cheater, a city woman of easy virtue, who could not be a faithful wife. Well, to hell with them. To hell with them all. And fuck you too, Honor, for abandoning your family. Maybe you have good reason to be angry at me, at your mother and sister, even at those bastards who worked for you. But your children don't deserve this. Tell me, Honor, how honorable it is to run away from two children who are innocent of anything. Tell me this. She stopped mid-sentence, shouting at me in the middle of the path. Now she stood with her arms crossed over her chest, glaring at me. You're right, BB. I screwed up, okay. I was so confused that I didn't know what to do, so I ran away. I thought I was doing the right thing when I left some space between us to calm down. Finding out that my soulmate slept with my partner and best friend for months, that my mom was covering for you, that the whole damn town knew I wasn't good enough for my wife, it destroyed me. I was so devastated, humiliated, broken that I didn't know how to cope with it. I've never failed at anything, BB. Failing at the most important thing in my life, my marriage, was too hard. I'm sorry. She sighed, then stepped forward and took my hand. You didn't ruin our marriage, Honor. I did it. The sad thing is that I don't even know why. She turned and walked again, this time at a fast pace. So tell me about your new girlfriend, my replacement. What is she, 18? She's not exactly my girlfriend, and she's not 18, but 24. We're separated. We didn't have sex, not even close. She's just a friend. Nonsense. I saw the video, Honor. I want to be your girl, she sang. This girl practically had sex with you on stage. It's complicated. She's good. She treats me kindly. In fact, being with my family in Newfoundland really helped me get my head in order, I said. Sure, drinking, hanging out, singing, and playing is fun while I'm dying. Let's not forget that I didn't start this, BB. I wasn't the one who cheated, took illegal substances, broke marriage vows, and humiliated me in front of the whole town. For the last 10 years, I've been on a treadmill, doing nothing but work, and whose fault is it, Honor? Who made you responsible for the whole damn city? How do you think I felt, being in third place after your business and your family? You should have loved me, put me first, me and your children. I thought that was what I was doing. Everything I did was for us. No, this is nonsense. You haven't been able to take a week off with your family in 3 years, but as soon as something went wrong, you immediately left to have fun. You might travel 4 or 5 times a year for work, but not for us. You have a pretty skewed sense of priorities. You cheated on me. My ideal wife turned out to be a cheater, I shouted. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You destroyed my world. I'm not perfect. I've never been perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. I tried to be a good wife and mother, but I ruined everything. I screwed up big time. I'm just a person. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, even you, Honor, even you. We walked on in silence until we stopped to replenish our water supplies and eat. While I was filtering the water through my filter, BB finally broke the silence. Why couldn't you forgive me, Honor? You love me, and you know that I love you. You didn't even want to listen to me. You didn't give me a chance. You should have known that I would do everything to atone for my guilt and would never be so stupid again. I handed her a full bottle of clean water while filling another. Here's the thing, BB. Do I really know this? Do I know that you love me, that you won't cheat again, that you haven't cheated before? Damn it, Honor, I told you. What? That you slept with Fred 3 times? Or more like 40? That you slept with his brother Dale just because he was there? Again and again. What were you smoking behind my back, hiding it from me? How much more have you been hiding? What do I really know? An old hiking rule says it's best to carry your water inside. I drank the whole bottle before refilling it, while BB continued to stare at me. You don't trust me at all anymore, do you? She said quietly. Why should I trust you? I thought our 25 years together were worth something. Is it true? It just makes me wonder. Did you use illegal substances in college? Did you cheat while I was working for our future? How many more secrets do you have? Damn it, Honor, give me a break. I've never cheated on you before. You were the only guy I was with until that bastard got to me, and I'm not dependent, for God's sake. Did you smoke in college? Several times. Nothing special, Beth said. Why did you hide this from me? You know why? It's too hard to live up to your ideals. It wasn't worth arguing with you or disappointing you. So instead you kept it a secret from me, and you wonder why I can't trust you. I think you're just looking for an excuse to say you can't trust me so you can run off with your new young girlfriend. I shouldered the backpack again and handed her one of our candy bars. Of course you're right. I'm looking for excuses not to trust you. It's not like you didn't give me plenty of reasons wrapped up in the nice package of, I slept with other men while on illegal substances in our house. She got up and walked on. Whatever you say, Mr. Perfect. Mr. I can do no wrong. Mr. Look at me, I'm so respectable that I abandon my children. Mr. Soulless, heartless, ruthless stone man. We continued to walk in silence until the sky became even more cloudy. I was hoping to be able to complete a full day's trek, but it was only 4 hours, and we already needed to stop. The good news was that, by my calculations, we had walked almost 20 miles. Look for a place to camp, I suggested. It only took a few minutes before we spotted a campsite a few dozen yards off the main trail. What do you think? I asked, pointing at him. Lead the way, Macduff, she said, breathing heavily. I didn't think it was necessary to correct her. We made our way through the light undergrowth to a cleared area of land. It looked safe enough, with no obvious dead branches overhead in case of strong winds, and the ground was on a slight rise, so I didn't think we'd get flooded. I wasted no time and began setting up the tent canopy. BB was inflating the mats while I checked the awning. I found some sticks to hammer into the pegs at an angle, hoping they would hold up better if a storm came up. The sky was almost black and thunder was just seconds away from lightning flashes when we were completely done with the installation. You're good at this, Beth said. I swear it took me almost an hour to set up camp myself. Sometimes it infuriates me how easy everything comes to you. That's probably fair. I was jealous of how easy it was for you to make friends. Everyone has always loved you. I had to work hard for the few friends I had. Beth laughed huskily. Boy, you have no idea how wrong you are. Betray the city's hero, break his heart, and let's see how many friends you have left. Not a single one. Not a single one. Nobody talks to me anymore. She was laying out her sleeping bags in the tent, her butt sticking out of the door. It's pretty bad when even your father doesn't want to talk to you. I felt the approach of rain and the first rare drops. Looks like it's going to rain soon. Take off your shoes. We need to get the gear inside and work on your legs, I said. She turned around and, blocking the entrance, began to take off her shoes. I crouched down to help her just as a strong wind began to blow, heralding the onset of a storm. Lightning lit up the sky a second before a loud bang almost deafened me. Beth squealed in fear. She never liked thunderstorms. We took off her boots, and I kicked my trekking shoes. I barely had time to climb into the tent when the rain intensified. With our equipment, there was very little space left in the tent. I checked her feet, and luckily the calluses didn't get any worse. It was good. I took off the bandages. Let them breathe until tomorrow morning. I don't think we'll have to walk more than half a day to get to the car. The sky burst into rain, and the noise from it drowned out everything around. The only good news was that this storm front did not bring any cold weather with it. The day was warm, and the temperature had dropped a few degrees, but the weather was quite comfortable. I stared into the darkness beyond the tent's entrance as Beth moved alongside. I turned to see her stripping down to her underwear. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I smell terrible, and so do you," she said. "Why didn't you ever tell me about this side of hiking?" It somehow didn't occur to me. Beth took a pack of wet wipes from her backpack and began to dry herself. She looked at me with a smile. "You need to freshen up too if you want to stay in this tent." I was tempted to remind her that this was my tent and that I had much more good reason to kick her out than she had to kick me out. But we called a truce, and the last thing I wanted was to start a fight again. I took off my t-shirt and stayed in just my boxers, feeling the cool air pleasantly touching my skin. The wet wipes really helped get rid of most of the smell. "Will you rub my back, Honor?" she asked. I looked at her, and she took off her bra. She sat in the tent wearing only her panties, waiting patiently. It was difficult. She was the woman I had loved all my life, and she was still beautiful. Wiping her back reminded me of better times. Not to mention I haven't been with a woman in months. This was not good. When I finished, she turned to face me, exposing her breasts. "Turn around, I'll wipe the dirt off you too," she said. I turned around as the rain continued outside and heard her kiss my shoulder. "No hope, BBC." She sighed heavily. "Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I missed you so much, especially at night. Didn't you miss me at all?" "Of course I missed you. You can't just throw all our years together out of your head." "Let's get under the covers," she suggested. I noticed that she had completely unfolded both of our sleeping bags. Her sleeping bag was on the bottom, mine was on top. Technically, it was the right choice. Her sleeping bag was thicker and made of a synthetic material that wouldn't compress as much and would hold the heat underneath us better. Plus, it was more convenient. My sleeping bag was down and provided more warmth on top, while weighing 3 times less than hers. She was already under my sleeping bag before I started joining her. After a moment, she began to move next to me. "Hold me, Honor. I'm scared." I believed her. She never liked big thunderstorms and hated lightning. The gods were giving us quite a light show outside. The wind grew stronger, causing the tent to flutter, and the rain poured down in buckets. I opened my hand, and she pressed herself against me. We lay quietly for a long time, each immersed in our own thoughts, until the violent storm passed. Perhaps about half an hour had passed when I felt her soft whisper in my ear. "Do you love me, Honor?" she whispered. "Certainly. I will probably always love you." "No, I mean, love me," she whispered urgently. "I don't think that's a good idea, BB." "I know. This is probably a terrible idea, but I don't care. Love me one last time, if this is really the end. One more time. Please. Don't think about it, Honor. Just let it all go tonight. We loved each other all our lives. Let's remember those good times again. Don't make me beg." Damn, how I missed this. I heard her sob quietly. "I'm such a damn fool. Such an idiot." "Hush," I told her, hugging and kissing her tears. Despite everything, it hurt me to see her cry. I was half asleep when I heard her whisper, "Thank you for this night. I will always love you, Honor. Always." I slept like the dead and only woke up when Beth kissed me. I slowly opened my eyes and saw that she was already dressed. "Good morning, sleepyhead. It's already light and time is ticking," she said. "Good morning. Ugh." She laughed and pushed me. "Get up." I got dressed and crawled out of the tent to relieve myself. Beth handed me a bottle of water when I returned. She had already rolled up the sleeping bags, and I started rolling up the tent. "How are your legs?" "Much better. I applied Moskin as you showed. Everything will be fine." We didn't talk much until we finished breaking up camp. She was already standing with a backpack on her shoulders and waited patiently while I finished packing my things. When I stood up, she handed me one of our bars and Snickers. "You have to give her credit for taking them with her." "We'll have breakfast on the go," she said, walking away and leaving me behind. I quickly caught up with her. The path was wide enough to walk side by side. "Are you okay?" I asked, looking at her. "As fine as can be in my situation," she replied. "Don't waste time. I need to go home." We walked, stretching our muscles, and Beth spoke again. "I always knew it would be like this. I tried to lie to myself, convincing myself that everything would work out in the end. But deep down I understood. After I was with Fred the second time, it was all over. You could never forgive me. You are too black and white, too right and wrong. I think that's why I didn't stop. I still felt guilty as hell, but in my heart I knew that I had ruined everything. With my stupid actions, I deprived myself of you." I was ready to let her continue to pour out her heart, but I also needed to say my own. "I'm not sure that's true, BB. I think we could handle it if it was just the two of us. If you stumbled once, and that would be it. But you brought my mother and sister into this, let the whole town know what was going on, and continued to make mistakes even after I returned from China. It became too much." "Maybe. Who knows, maybe you would forgive me, but it would never be the same, right?" she said. "No, most likely not," I admitted. Our morning hike was punctuated by long periods of silence, punctuated by brief conversations. There was much less anger and resentment. But there was one thing that still bothered me. I knew I couldn't find peace until I dealt with this. "Tell me about Fred," I asked. "This bastard. He disappeared. I left 2 days after you left. He left his wife and children and disappeared. The last time I saw him was when I fired him for falsifying his timesheet. He lied about where he was while you were on your trips. I knew for sure that he did not work 40 hours a week at work. Damn, I don't think he even worked 20. She smiled strangely. "Fred tried to argue until I threatened him, and I was serious. He got angry and I had to hit him several times and call security. The next day, as far as I heard, several guys from work found him alone and beat him up. I was told that they promised to do this every day as long as he remained in the city." "Do you know where he went?" I asked. "I have no idea, and I don't want to know. That slimy bastard ruined my life. I know that he is not the only one to blame, but if it weren't for him, I would never have cheated. You choose terrible friends, Honor." After another long silence, Beth spoke. "How long do you plan to stay? Have you thought about what to do with the business?" "Not sure. I have ideas, but they are not related to Honor Energy. I'm done with this. I'm thinking of opening a new business, but I'll be much more selective in choosing employees." "I'm done with it too. I tried so hard, but no one appreciated me. I heard comments behind me. I'm not going to try anymore, so I think they're done." She slowed until I caught up with her, and we walked side by side as the path widened. "Shall we see each other again?" she asked. "You are the mother of my children. As long as I'm here, I'll be there. I think we'll see each other quite often," I said. "But you won't live with us anymore." "No, I now have my own home." She sighed. "Sometimes I think it would be easier if you just left and didn't come back. Then I could start over and forget about my mistakes. They are my children too, BB." "I know, Honor. I'm glad you finally remembered this. I will never stop you from seeing them ever. My home will always be open to you, always." It was interesting to hear her new approach. Now it was her house, not ours. I think we both started to understand how things should be now. We came to the place where the trail intersected with the parking area. I came out from under the trees. Beth stopped at the edge of the asphalt. "My car is over there," I said. "That's it. This is the end. Once I get in this damn truck, it's over." The trail was a brief fantasy retreat. Now I have to go back to my miserable life. "Everything will work out. The children miss you very much. We still have to organize a 5th birthday this weekend," I said. Beth nodded. I saw her take a deep breath, as if gaining strength, and then take a step forward. It took a few more seconds to pull herself together, and she put a tight smile on her face. Then she walked past me to the car, throwing her backpack into the trunk. "I'm not getting in this damn car until you promise me something," she said, leaning against the side of the car with her arms crossed over her chest. "What exactly?" "You have to feed me. When we get out of this park, I need some serious food. I'm dying of hunger." "I think we can handle this," I said. I put my backpack in the trunk after taking out my wallet, keys, and phone. I opened the door for her, and she sat inside, immediately taking off her shoes. I sat on the opposite side, started the car, and turned on the phone charger. "We need to call your parents. Are you ready?" She nodded. She took the phone and dialed the number. I only heard half the conversation. "Mother, it's me." "Yes, Mom, we're already on our way back." "No, I don't want to talk about it now. Honor and I are going back, and we'll talk when we get there." She turned to me. "How long will it take us to get back?" she asked. "At least 7 or 8 hours. It's 2:12 now." She brought the phone to her ear again. "I think we'll be home between 10 and 11 tonight, if nothing goes wrong." "I don't know," she said. "Like I said before, we'll talk when we get back. Let me talk to the kids." She talked to Marie for another 10 minutes, even to Billy, while I drove north. I even managed to exchange a few words when she put her on speakerphone. When she hung up, she was crying again. I patted her on the leg. "Everything will be fine." "No, it won't. It might get a little better, but it will never be truly good. Let's not talk about this, at least until I eat." "What about my car?" she asked. "Don't worry. I'll get someone to pick her up. It will be delivered to your home within a day." The return journey was not nearly as exciting. We ate a big meal at Front Royal, and she slept most of the way. While she snored quietly, I made a few calls. To Darren to let her know that I would be starting work on the business, and to Jane to update her on the events of the last few days. I promised Jane that we would talk longer tomorrow. A couple of hours later, I woke Beth up for another meal around 7 p.m. At 10:45, I arrived at our old house. As expected, we were met with tears and difficult conversations. The kids woke up, and we spent a few minutes with them before putting them back to sleep. It was past midnight when I left to spend the night at my house in the city. 1. Beth hugged me on the way out. "Good night, Arnold. Thank you for coming for me. Maybe you can come by tomorrow to see the kids, and we can discuss Marie's birthday plans." "I will do so." What amazed me was that this was the first time in my life that Beth had called me Arnold. I don't think honor is suitable anymore, and I admit this was also my fault, but still, it hurt. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. 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 Click to the next one.